Remaps my space. Heroes fall, but I rise with grace. Keyboard warrior, call me the ace. Never miss, precision like a blade. Enemies fade, I'm the renegade. Click, clack.
Already the second timeout's being called before we even made it into the second half here for the attack side of Chet's Pets.
I guess I'm just wondering why there hasn't been more of a pivot towards A. I'm really A-centered, but if it's broken, it's time to fix it. Like, B is just not happening. Whether it's the slow orbs, the shock darts, the Hunter's Fury, the wall, there's so much to get through and not the same at A. And then Chet's Pets' backup plan is to sit in mid and to wrap through market. And I think there's a potential to push through tree. I think you know that you've registered that Sim is with an op around that catwalk area. You try and challenge that from a different angle. And Chet's Pets gotta put Marge into a good position maybe with the ult. I don't know how crazy he wants to be, teleporting behind. Chet's Pets are not the TSM flankers though, so it's a bit of a different play style for them.
Well, they are looking like they're gonna try finally for a split towards the A site. Albo just got spotted. Easy kill.
You know where the op is. Smile, silver lining. It's in another body though. Stuff. Flawless round, but it was mixed low buy from Chet's Pets. But wait, there's Cope. The C stands for Cope, right? You can go to A this time with rifles. It'll be better, right?
I think that's the thing that's missing a little bit here in the composition out from Chet's Pets. You are playing double initiator, so you have an opportunity to find, you know, at the very beginning of these rounds, one, to take back control with the simple pop flash into that TP that we just saw in the previous round. Although it was a knife that looks into garden, right? So you could definitely leverage that a little bit more to find that information. They are looking like they're setting up at least a knife for info, and there you go. Finally a good pick coming through.
Oh my god, purposeful gap in the wall.
And when they fall back, he's got res too. It's all part of the plan.
Supporting fire too. Hey, guess what? It was all a fake. Chet's Pets are going in, guys. I'm cooking with this. Paranoia too. As soon as they send someone in heaven, maybe Marv wants to get ahead of the game. They still have rotations. Chet's Pets don't have Bow involved. He's gonna be watching the flank because TSM love to flank. Seven could be cooking that. Meanwhile, Sim is getting pressured and he is the GOAT, but it is tough. A lot of pressure coming from underneath him too. Giza holds down Garden so beautifully with 3. And he's starting to heat up. And Chet's Pets need every round they can get at a 9-2 scenario. Double drop down from the duelist to TSM, and Chet's Pets stay calm.
Beautiful push up from Giza. If anything, not a push, but just the way that he held towards that door. There was so much pressure coming up towards heaven. He's got the solo responsibility to make sure nobody's able to pinch back from Garden. If not, all three players are kind of trapped there at the bottom and could potentially get picked apart rather by Sim with the op. And for him to muster up 3 kills the way that he did, that's a much needed round coming out here from Chet's Pets. It's a 9-3 potential curse, but now they have a chance to play the defensive side with a more standard comp. Ash was mentioning on the desk here, the double initiator with a Vice instead of a Cypher or a KG, still a very strong composition to play with on the side here of Chet's Pets. And while for TSM, that's the question mark. What can now 7 do? And with the way that he's been playing the Sage, Battle Sage, I wouldn't be surprised for like Sage wall boosts. The standard way to play here on split Bs, going into front of that A site with a wall on top to look over smokes, or just Sim getting a pick the way that he just did against Marv.
Sim's gonna skill check Marv early too. Double swing out. Chet's Pets and Rico is just playing anti-flash. He's traded. Chet's Pets go back to square one, but TSM feeling like, okay, they've taken down 2. A lot of actions over at A. This is the weaker side, right? Giza with another multi-kill in Garden. TSM were brought back down to earth, humbled for a moment. The quick swing out from Caillou, abandoning the spike for 7 to assist, and the heal from Vora to Vora gets TSM back on their feet. What a decision. A bow is left. His presence known. 7's up top, and Vora gets the kill, and it's TSM with another good pistol.
Great share shots coming out too from the side of Vora to get that last pick, and that was a pistol round that was much needed from the defensive side. Giza tried to do as much as he could. Great impact kills for the last 2 rounds, but unfortunately not enough here for the side of the defense to muster up a pistol. So in 3 maps, only 1 pistol round has been won here on the side of Chet's Pets. Unfortunately, that might be the storyline of this matchup. Probably would have been much more different here if they actually were able to get a little bit more on the side here of Chet's Pets. Now TSM are in a solid position to close out the series.
Chet's Pets taking the pistol in the second half is what kind of helped them propel into Haven. But TSM taking all these pistols is such a nail in the coffin, especially getting to double digits. Such a gap in the score. It would take a miracle, and Caillou would have to go sickle mode, X Games mode, Super Saiyan, all the things. Give him all your energy. He's gonna need it coming up. He's got a shotgun, but not at the front door. They're kind of allowing TSM to walk in. Maybe Victor could be swinging with Bow, especially with Victor taking some hits. Doesn't want to be too crazy as TSM dash in, making space with Sim now on the site, ready to pop out of smoke while synchronized. Sim gets caught, but reveals where the rest of Chet's Pets are. And now it's a scramble, it's a brawl, and it's 7 versus Marv at the end of the day. Repeat from Marv, mind games against 7. Pawns in place, but the king's still in place too. It's TSM getting up to 11. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Nice
POV
answer
did not
back
help.
there from 7. I mean, at this point though, for I'm just questioning, they had the perfect stack going in for the side of Chet's Pets. Paranoia was beautiful coming out from Marv. Perfect trades out, but a 1v1, knowing that the last person was going to be the Sage, boosted up the whole time. There was weapons placed around the site. But Marv just failed to run towards it to pick it up here and try to get any chances to win that 1v1. Had to play now a classic against the Sheriff. Now TSM are 2 rounds away, and now you're mustering whatever you can here for the side of Chet's Pets. Already a knock coming out from Victor.
Oh, good peek. Chet's Pets backing away. Early knife ping onto 7-2. You had a sense that danger was nearby and the read was right. TSM need recoil to be huge with this Vandal and flash out from Chet's Pets. TSM dodge. And recoil's kind of out on his own. Able to capitalize on Chet's Pets' attention while the spike is pivoting towards B.
Oh, he made it through. I don't think that's ping. He gets a free kill. Oh! They walled him behind the wall, so they thought there was nobody inside the garden. A free kill for recoil, and now you can just work around the map. Oh, this has got to sting.
Are so calculated, yeah. But Chet's Pets have a wall of their own, and looks looks like TSM are going to be delayed because of that, and GMD could be in an awkward spot here, but they'll be okay for now. Chestpets
30
are
seconds left.
not aggressive. They're not peeking. They're not an advantage. I mean, they're in a weapon advantage, I guess, but not numbers.
Mars in a good spot. This might be around here if he gets his pick.
Catching them on the exit. 7 HP. The shock ball. Bora. That's mean. 12 seconds, though. Gotta hurry up
10
and
seconds
book
left.
it. All right, Mascot. Can they do it? Malice on his way to prevent
Last
it.
player
Doesn't have
standing.
sightlines. Recoil is so played with it with 2 seconds to spare. TSM get it down. And they gotta break it down against Caillou. 1v3 to deny the match point out of TSM. And this is just domination from TSM.
Dude, yeah, that was so close there for Marv. I mean, it's you can't know how many players are rotating back towards tiles, but if he actually did get that second kill, or if there was actually in that rotate over from TSM that they were grouped up a little bit closer, that was spiked down. A chance here for Chestpets to even win out that round just from their repositioning coming out from the Iceman. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Misses that shot on the second player. Beautiful reaction by Vora to go with the shock dart kill.
Enemy remain.
And what a shot coming out from recoil as well. It was such a good series overall, 13-11, 13-11. But now it just seems like the gas, there's none left for the side here of Chestpets.
TSM are just so good at sussing out where that Sentinel util is and then pivoting to the A site. Something I wish Chestpets were able to do more of. Drawing out all this util, picking a weaker site. TSM have had so many years together in Sim. A lot of time in the aim room too. And how well he's playing. And that's what we love about Sim, his consistency. Spike left behind, usual default. Chestpets, wait to see what else is next.
Shot down.
Okay, Caillou.
Deploying drone.
He was the hero that Chestpets needed in the past, but 21 HP. His team doesn't have a Sage, so he'll be stuck hemorrhaging for a moment. TSM will slowly make their way to A, just like before. Paranoia out. Chestpets back away. Lear out. A lot used from TSM within the site, but the Spike's still gotta make its
30
way
seconds
in.
left.
You smoke off glass. Chestpets
Big kill.
finally emerge,
down A.
and Marv always makes his impact known. It's up to Chestpets to make up for this, because it's match point for TSM, the semi-final ticket ahead of them. As Vora will wait in hell with the Huntress Fury at the ready above the wall.
The
7
res.
reaching like a book. The res 2 numbers for TSM. Chestpets just put in the doghouse. Vora with the
Attackers
final
win.
laugh as TSM go to the semifinals to face Burger Boys.
A tantalizing last map there for the side of Chestpets, but a dominating one for the side of TSM no matter what. It looks so clean from beginning to end from both defense, if not anything, from just Seven's performances, just carried everybody on his back. And I remember when I was talking about the Sage, the Battle Sage on this map could be such a pain point if it's unpracticed, and it's been a long time that you haven't played against that, and Seven gets the best value out of it and allows here TSM to move forward in the Challengers playoffs for the split 2 in North America.
Yeah, we're all freaking out around about the Reyna, and it was like the Sage that low-key carried all of that. Just Seven being 6-0 after 2 rounds kind of set the tone for the
21
rest of
7.
that
I don't
game.
even know what numbers he had, but he was insane.
I know. I already know the desk are going to break down all those fun numbers. I think Chestpets did a good job of trying to recognize the game plan out of TSM,
Yeah.
especially on Haven, doing such a good job of shutting down the constant flanks. But TSM just were better offensively at the end of the day, not dropping a single round on that regard. So TSM will go to the semifinals against Burger Boys, and we have 1 series ahead, and we have an interview with TSM too, and looking forward to seeing them yap. So we'll see ya.
lot of people really like to give up and they don't really have that drive.
The expectation should be to win first place.
Get them to ascend.
We kind of just threw at the end.
Yeah, MAD were winning 5 versus 3.
Look how quick this one. Oh! It's
13-11s for the first 2 map in this series. A very close matchup between Chet's Pets and TSM. But in the end, TSM decided to just put the nail in the coffin. Absolutely no mercy on Ascent. 13-3. I cannot believe, Gomps, that we're at this point at the desk already. That was crazy coming out from TSM with such a cool comp. I can't.
They wanted to end it off strong, and that they did. They played their best performance, if anything. I mean, Seven especially played their best performance, 23-6, by the way, from this phenomenal Sage player. They've been playing like this pretty much throughout the duration of every single match, although it really did feel like it kind of came in now finally at the 3rd map, of course, playing Cypher the majority of the last 2, but they were very subtle and sneaky, but they were making so much impact. And now we did finally get to see that full force. So that 13-3 definitely a given.
I mean, the impact from Seven, of course, like crazy, but the impact from the whole team as well. I mean, highlighted going into this, Pets, it's been a little bit iffy on Ascent, but of course, when we're anticipating all the switches, Ash, I didn't know what was going to happen, but TSM, this was just a more confident look than ever. I love this double duelist. I love everything they got going for them, and it really showed up in the server.
It really did. I think that when we're talking about the changes for Ascent, what was difficult was, at least for Chet's Pets, we saw how they were kind of leaning into the comfort for Marv and for Giza earlier on in that series. And then Giza just didn't look as comfortable on that KO, which I think was just such an important role as well when we saw how TSM were setting up that defensive half that led to that 9-3 start. And it was a lot of these situations where Seven was usually anchoring towards that B site. We saw the wall just doing a really great job at funneling its Pets into the crosshairs of TSM. And on the opposite side, you had Sim going for extremity control over mid once that operator was online. And so much of that came from GMD as well, like being able to look to set him up on those angles thanks to that paranoia. And it really, I think, kind of deflated Pets going into that second half where they weren't able to find a single round on the attacking side. It was a swift 4 rounds in a row for TSM to close this map out. And the first kills also tell you a lot of the story here as well. Pets really kind of like struggled to find those opportunities. And it just felt like TSM were very comfortable with the fights that we saw them take there.
I love that you call it the comfort, especially when it's a TSM that's comfortable with the fights that are being taken in comparison to what should have been comfort picks coming out from Pets that just didn't quite amount up. But eyeing up the player performances, like my eyes instantly again, Ash, drawn to Seven, but across the board, like TSM really stepped up.
Yeah, everyone on TSM stepped up. And I want to kind of just focus back in on Seven. I think Gompers was talking about it a little bit, about how he was performing earlier in the day on Split. He didn't have to honestly do too much because Recoil and Sim were having an insane match. So was like GMD, everybody else. But then you also look over towards like Haven. It was an insane map coming out from 7-2. And then heading into this Ascent where he is on this stage where it's just the numbers are undeniable that you guys can see on your screens. But it even calls back to the top of day when we were doing that compare and contrast between Victor and Seven, who have very opposite roles in this particular series, but we were highlighting the flexibility that both these players bring to the team. And Seven, he went from initially being that mainstay initiator who flexed onto the Sentinel every once in a while to fully taking on this Sentinel role and responsibility for TSM and opening up the opportunity for Recoil to slot into the duelist.
And I love being able to see more of Recoil on the duelist. The fact that we got to see it earlier on in the series and popping off, and you're talking about a Seven who didn't really need to pop off earlier in the series, and it was a Recoil that in this game didn't necessarily need to drop 20 plus because, you know, Seven was there. But I love the Reyna. I love all of these ideas, and I love the fact that he agreed to come on for the interview. So let's head on over to that and get a couple of thoughts from, the duelist of the day here for TSM. Recoil, how is it going?
It's going great.
Great win.
Excited.
Like, Yeah, that ascent. Like, let's talk about that because we got the closest map 1 and map number 2, 13-11s for both. And then ascent, you guys bring out the double duels yet again, 13-3. Like, how is such a drastic switch up from what was a relatively close series before?
Right. Well, it felt really like easy coming into Ascend playing that comp because obviously we've been practicing it. Our coach introduced us into his older comps from Ascend. He is a champs winner, frankly, running those comps. So it was just like really like fresh for our team, and just the idea kind of meshed well. Everyone was like comfortable on the roles. Johan was open to playing the Sage. Jordan, no issues on the Sova. Obviously, Anthony on the Omen, and I could flex any duelist, so it was just comfort. It felt really great.
I'm glad to hear how comfortable it felt for the team. And I love this look coming out from the team, considering you guys have always just been such an aggressive team in my book. But I want to talk about more of you being on the duelist. You say you can flex any duelist. We've seen you flex a little bit in the past, but a lot of these compositions, at least that we've gotten to see on the day, all of them have you on this duelist. So how has this been for you? Was there any sort of adjustment, or since you've always had, you know, some maps you've played duelist, was just this an easy one to pick up and slot right into?
Well, obviously, first I have my teammates to thank, because obviously playing duelist, there are like characters where you're running individual plays like Reyna and Jet. But at the same time, if you saw our map on split, Anthony helped me a lot with the blinds. His Omen paranoias were perfect, and it just made entering really easy. But alongside that, I don't know, everything just feels natural on duelist, and I feel like our team is very special in that everyone can play every single role, like genuinely. Maybe not Sim, but he is the best duelist in the world, in my eyes at least.
You know what, the little drive-by, but you back it up saying best duelist in the world. So I think I'll let that one pass. But
You know that level?
you're talking a lot that I've got from this interview so far is you're talking about the team and like credits to them. You're talking about Sim. You're talking about how your team's setting you up. And last time I talked to GMD, he talked about how tight the group was in terms of like just being tight knit and that helping everybody. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about that too, especially with this playoffs runs ahead.
Well, obviously last playoffs I didn't perform well, and I heard on the broadcast people talking about roster changes, which was like really shocking, especially to our coach, because like in EU that doesn't happen so often, you know, where teams like make changes that early on. But after that, we had a huge talk as a team, and we are a tight knit group. Everyone's friends outside of crack. Like I talked to Ant, you know, everyone's just like very vocal, especially about like team issues. So it was just like really easy moving on. And if anything, the struggle brought us closer together. And Anthony makes like a point of losing is learning. And frankly, that is very true.
I love to hear all of that. I am really glad to see that everyone stayed together because you guys have been stepping up and it's been really awesome to see. Recoil, I love the arc you guys are on. Congrats on this win. Best of luck going forward as well, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. A lot of insight from Recoil about the team and such a great victory, especially that ascent. But still one more best of 3 on the day. Highly anticipated match between Qbert Academy and Winthrop University after a short break. You ready? Hello, everyone. Hello, Liza Sangria, Sentinels, Qbert Academy Watch Party. You need an abbreviation. That is a mouthful. Welcome back, everyone, to Valorant Challengers North America. An amazing best of 3 to be starting today. If you missed it, TSM to take the victory over Chess Pets, formerly M80, be moving along in the upper bracket. Now, Ash, we got none other than Winthrop University going up against Qbert Academy. Exciting for so many reasons, because these two have faced off a handful of times. Obviously, a big switch up as well coming in for today for Qbert.
Yeah, that's the main way, I guess, like the main way that our eyes get drawn here. But I also just think that for Winthrop, this is a team that has earned their respect within challengers as well. During stage one, they were considered this dark horse team. And then it was a question, okay, was that a fluke or was that something that we're going to see carried forward as far as consistent performance? And it was the latter. I think the community was kind of like initially like questioning if it was kind of just like a one of those Cinderella runs that it's a one off. And for Winthrop, they have very much so cemented themselves as a top contender here within Challengers League. I think have earned the respect of the audience and players alike. But I'm really excited for this particular head to head, especially with those changes that we're talking about that we're kind of like teasing. I know everyone already kind of knows and whatnot, but we have that slow build up going forward.
Shh, nobody knows. Nobody knows. But let's talk about this Winthrop University's team first, because I love that you call it that respect and everything else. Because when we were at this stage for stage one playoffs, Winthrop University had just beaten YFP in an upset of a match, and it was a lot of questions on how this team would fare going into playoffs. And that is where this team had surpassed expectations. You take down TSM, you knocked down Hubert Academy to that lower bracket. And Gomps, that's when we got to see this turn away from Winthrop being the underdog into, hey, wait, this collegiate team, these vibes, this aura is one of the best teams that we have in Challengers.
One of the best, and yes, because it's so strange how you can develop so quickly into a roster that is just like the one roster you're now so excited to hear about, after not even knowing anything about them before. And to be a collegiate team is a success on their own. I mean, you heard, I believe, if you guys were listening, to some of the clips that we got to drop during the breaks, Nasi talking about, what his routine is. Where are the scrims in that routine? Like, it's crazy that they have like this college life and such a normal like I guess life in general, and then they come here and they dominate, and then they're so good. And I guess they're kind of working their brains every day with their college work and stuff like that. But all in all, like this team is preparated and just absolutely dominant in what they do and the way they handle themselves, and it's awesome to see.
It's been so much fun to watch the journey, as chaotic as it is, and the journey that we got to expand upon a little bit in stage two, looking back at that history and everything else. As I called back to them playing against Hubert Academy in the previous playoffs, we got to see that again in a pretty close fight. This wasn't quite the easiest qualification for Winthrop. We did have to draw it out to 6 rounds, but I still think when you look at a couple of those wins, on Havers was a team that was doing really well. Of course, a 2-1 victory over SRB. Ash, there's like maybe the journey wasn't the cleanest, but again, Winthrop University, they'll come out on top. They'll always surprise you.
They definitely keep you on your toes, that's for sure. But I think that you take a look at still these matches and whatnot, they're not easy teams to beat. I know for Fun Havers, for example, they didn't make it through that Swiss stage, didn't have the best run, but that was a team where they have like very high cerebral play style because of the IGL and just like the style that just like leans into like those like set plays and a lot of variety that Winthrop are able to meet and face up against like really well. I think it says a lot about like the coaching on the side of Winthrop coming out from Banshees, and then also just the IGLing coming out from Nasi, because you have to think about the fact that they are playing against these teams and taking these series up against teams who have very differing play styles while they are not running scrims. And that just says they're a lot about their individual ability and their ability to bring it all together as far as like the dynamicism, the adaptability in the server round for round to respond to the pressure that's being put on.
I love the simplicity of this quote coming out from Moobs as well. We're individually very skillful. And I think that's all you need to really sum it up. When you talk about a team that, maybe doesn't necessarily get to scrim. Sometimes, like, I've talked to Ali and he's like, you know what? We didn't necessarily know what controller or what pick we wanted to go going into a map. It's a team, like, they got their studies. They got a lot going on. They're trying to live their lives, But to be able to see that skill still come on through, Gomps, this collegiate team, I think is just amazing. And, like, the sky is just the limit here.
You can just tell they're very well prepped, and yeah, I mean, even with obviously, I mean, they have to be well prepped. They have CVAL championships as well, actually coming up. So, this is a team that's now, of course, they're not actually, playing every single day for challengers, but they're actively the next day playing into another tournament and constantly having to battle other teams that are so diverse in terms of the way that they play the game. So I feel like that's where their adaptability comes in. And of course, challengers, it's very, very cutthroat and it's such a different dynamic place to be, but they handle themselves so well because of the experience they get outside of those servers. And for me, that's honestly the best way to practice, the best way to get all of that, all of those reps in. And actually, speaking of, yeah, okay, they're playing in playoffs, and if they win this, great, they continue into the upper bracket. But then tomorrow they're playing a grand finals for CVAL, so it's like, does it really ever end for this team in terms of their dominance?
It really just does not. But they have shown that they're capable of going toe to toe with with the best. But now they have to go up against the best today, the worst kept secret coming out on the broadcast for someone who is joining this Cubert Academy roster. A little bit of a drum roll here. None other than Tens is playing. Ash, I saw the original tweet coming out from Sentinels, like, only one person can save Tier 2. And I'm like, nah, right? You just kind of like forget about it. Nah, right? And then, yeah, nope, Tens is playing today. Crazy.
I mean, the super sub of all super subs, realistically, when you're looking at it, like for Scuba to be getting that call up to Tier 1, joining NRG is massive for him, right? Having that opportunity to graduate, that's the whole purpose of these academy teams that are being supported by these organizations in Tier 2. And then now, okay, slot has opened up. Who are you gonna get but the GOAT Tens on your roster? I think what is so cool about him coming into Hubert Academy is the amount of experience that he brings. Like, yes, we know Tens is such an incredibly gifted mechanical player, so good on his role as well and flexible because we've seen him on that duelist in early day Valorant. We've seen him on the controller play as well, but just that experience, I think, will mean a lot to the new levels of even like comms that could be coming to the table here for Cubert Academy in a team that's already very vocal, and then just general competitive experience at such a high level that could add these additional layers when that is more than you would even usually be asking for someone just subbing in so late into the stage.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Not only do you get to play with, I guess a Valorant legend in the community, but you also get to learn as well from someone that is so well polished and well diverse in terms of how long they've been playing, what scenes they've been playing in, and the championships that they won as well, not to mention. But I remember Redux even saying, in an interview, like they used to look up to Tens so much and wanted to aim like Tens. So it's like, okay, great. And they ended up saying, they learned the mechanics and that's what really did make them better. But now you're looking at the fact that, it's mini Tens and Tens in one team. And now you're like, well, we're going to have to just figure out how we're going to work through this, playing as Winthrop.
It'll be a lot of fun to see. I'm so excited for this matchup, but I do want to reflect a little bit on Hubert Academy's journey in getting to the playoffs and to this point. Because Hubert Academy, of course, from their introduction into Challengers, was a team that was so exciting. Of course, it's the Sentinels Academy roster, right? But it's been something that during the second split, without these roster changes, we have seen a lot of role swaps. And that's been something, Ash, that throughout their games has somewhat plagued them a little bit. And they definitely found a lot of stride with having Scuba on the Sentinel. I mean, my boys getting pulled up, right? Like such a good pull up into Tier 1. But I think that during the more tail ends of this, things started to click a little bit more for the team. So Scuba's missed, but we do have the superest of subs. And I'm intrigued to see how the rest of the team clicks around Tens, considering the run they've had.
Yeah, you're talking about those role swaps that came through, right? The fact that we were kind of like shuffling through 3 different players at the time, being Knife, Redux, and Scuba on that. And they really found their stride in the last swap that they ended up finding, which was putting Redux back onto that duelist, and then Knife also going back to his roots of what he was playing for Rankers in stage 3 of 2024, which is back onto that controller. And even during that interview, he was like, yeah, I think I'm just a controller player at this point. Like, he had an insane series up against YF. He hitting like, 40 and 16 in that series in total. But even this quote coming out from Knight, we definitely set for playoffs and it would definitely be pure domination. says a lot about the confidence that the core has already going into this. And you can only imagine how much more confidence gets injected to a team when they do have such a high level player joining them to continue to elevate the growth that we've already seen coming from Hubert during this.
And it'll be really interesting to see if it's going to be more of the roles for Hubert Academy that they develop later that they stick to, or how things will shuffle around tens. But from the last known duelist, that is the head-to-head that I want to pull up going into the matchup to reflect, especially between two players that we've really highlighted a lot throughout the season. Of course, the reason Hubert Academy is here, you have Redux on the right. Infiltrator for Winthrop University has been somebody that throughout has been someone who's really been able to step up and impress here, Gomp. So I'm curious with how this head-to-head will go. And of course, if there is any switch-ups going in today, if it is going to be an Infiltrator v10s.
Yeah, I like too how it's like, you know, the duelist versus, I guess, the duelist of the past, like the ghost of the past, sort of Redux. But Redux in general really just has so much potential. Not even potential. They are such an amazing player in terms of what they can do. Of course, they're not really playing into that duelist role any further as they used to. Actually, no, they are. Sorry, forget me. I'm looking at my chart and I was looking at the wrong name. But no, Redux. Okay, duelist v duelist. Sorry, the omen kind of knocked me off here. But no, okay, yeah, playing as the duelist, absolute great potential for Redux. I mean, being so young as they are and kind of like actually actively realizing, you know, what they need to work on. It's very, very evident how they kind of pick up on all of those kind of like tendencies that they do that might be a bit negative to the team, and they fix that and replace that very, very quickly with their adaptations mid-game. You know, they position themselves around the entirety of the team, and I feel like, you know, in terms of Infiltrator, they do that absolutely as well. Winthrop University and Sentinels not too far off, Sentinels Hubert Academy not too far off in terms of, you know, the synergy that they can connect with, and just more so keeping themselves together with their team and keeping that cohesion. So I'm more so excited to see just how well that's going to fare out with like a new player that, you know, I feel like a lot of us really do look at as, you know, someone that is a threat into the scene.
I mean, Infiltrator, for anyone who's been watching Collegiate, anyone who's watched here tier, you know that Infiltrator is it. And then going up against Redux, like the young superstar, I think is really exciting, especially too, this being a head-to-head that we have seen twice in the past. And I'm intrigued with the third meeting of these two teams, how exactly this one's going to be shaking up. And first, how the map picks and bans is going to maybe vary from the previous times that we've gotten to see it. So far in the series, Winthrop has been up one and Hubert has been up one, but coming down to today for the stage 2 playoffs, that's going to be absolutely it. So yeah, map picks and bans, let's get to it, because I'm excited to see where exactly the battlegrounds for today are going to be taking place. And Ash, starting off, it's going to be Hubert Academy picking up Haven.
And no surprise that they want to pick up Haven, right? This has been one of their most played maps in Stage 2 and one of their best maps in Stage 2 as well. They've all been very dominant wins. Aside from the last time these two teams faced off during that round 2 of the Swiss stage, where Winthrop actually ended up taking that in a 14-12 as their one map in that 3-map series. So they're looking to like bounce back. We saw like the adjustments coming in that was also with a different composition beforehand as well, where they were running like a weird like Yoru AJ breach comp there before leaning back into like the neon for Redux, where he looked very, very comfortable. But this map isn't too bad for the likes of Winthrop either. This was a map that they took very dominantly up against SRB as well, and no, Hubert won that up against Winthrop. But yes, they took this very dominantly up against SRB. And then I think like you look later down the line as the map veto continues on, it's a veto that honestly looked fairly comfortable for both of these teams, albeit we have yet to see Sunset from Hubert. And that could be also an ace up their sleeve.
Yeah, actually not a lot of Sunset from Winthrop University either, which I, you know, in terms of what Sunset is going to be, why we kind of kept it within the pool, I'm not necessarily so sure on that, but I think maybe just, you know, obviously we haven't seen Sunset from Hubert in a professional stance, but more so, I feel like that's when you should be a little worried, you know, kind of having something up your sleeve and in terms of, you know, what the composition is going to look like. Of course, changes with, we all are very aware of the changes with Taeho. So for Winthrop, Taeho being such a predominant pick for every single map that we're actually seeing here. So definitely definitely some changes potentially going to be made, unless we want to just like abuse the system and be like YOLO, you know. But yeah, so far so good. I mean, I'm pretty much thinking that we're gonna see some heavy fight on Haven from Winthrop, and I'm hoping that they, you know, put their best foot forward, because this is such a pivotal moment for them to kind of be like, all right, we were like in your heads and you know we were good, but now we're good. You know that we're good now.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that we do get to see the sunset coming out from these two teams. And I think that Haven and Lotus is going to be so close between these two. But the fact that Haven and Lotus has been good for both of these teams, and when these two teams have faced off on these two maps before, because the last time they met, it was two of these three maps, and it has been so extremely close, I think that only speaks volumes for the series that we have ahead of us. And I think this one is going to be a lot of fun. Everything going on into it, and of course Winthrop not being an underdog in this stage 2 playoffs, but instead when we're looking at, you know, yeah, they're more capable than any, like they're just as capable as anyone. But I really want to know, getting into today's series, in terms of the predictions, how we thought this one's going to be shaking up. Ash is already laughing. A girl just cannot keep it together over here.
Yo,
I
don't
mean,
get mad at me.
it's Ash against the world yet again.
Yeah. Yo, hear me out, okay?
Explain.
Hear me out. Hear me out. One, honestly, I feel like the fact that, like, okay, I know it's kind of crazy for me to not pick Hubert here with Pens coming in. It was really hard to make this decision. One, I hate desk tweets. Two, I genuinely do believe that Winthrop could potentially take this series. And the reason I say that is because I think in this head-to-head, there is the risk of Winthrop also being their own greatest enemies. If they get in their heads about the fact that they're facing up against Pens, then things could fall apart. But based on the Winthrop that we've grown to know over stage 2 and stage 1, this is not a team that will look at a player like Pens and like feel that threat. And if it does happen, that is the potential for things to unravel. But from what we've seen in interviews, the confidence that this team has, that is just like a purely unabashed confidence. The fact that they're not scrimming, it tells me that this is a team that has the attitude where that will not be a mental battle. As I'm saying that, I am crossing my fingers that it will not be a mental battle.
It's so
but
funny,
guys, it was not easy to choose. Okay, golfers, it was not easy.
No, bro, because I feel like everyone should have expected me to pick Winthrop. Like, I've been ride or die for this team since the moment,
Sierra?
literally,
Yeah.
I don't know, the moment that and I agree, I completely agree. Should they fear Tens? Like, realistically, guys, please do not fill my inbox. Like, no, they shouldn't, but at the same time, it's so hard not to, because the whole entire media and everybody is just so excited to see Pens perform. And when you have that much backing you as a player, you know, that much support, and then not only that, but also like just the legacy and the history of just being so good and being on the headlines, and you know, a lot of people wanting to play like you, it really does kind of get in your head a bit in terms of like, who am I playing? I think I actually saw a tweet from Moobs like, wait, I'm playing who tomorrow? Like, I feel like I would react the same, to be completely honest with you. But all in all, I respect your decision. No controversy here. I bow down to you. I respect it.
I mean, if it's Moobs on Twitter, he's just memeing anyways. But it does it does make a lot of sense, I think, to have not just that, but like Hubert themselves in a roster is also a very strong team. But Sierra, all I'm saying is if Winthrop lose today, they're coming for you for not voting for them. Yeah,
I cannot win. Hubert is holding my family hostage. Every time I bet Winthrop University during the stage 1 playoffs, when they were the clear underdogs and they should not have won, they won every single time. They have my family. They've been sending threatening notes to my house band. Like, I had to.
They send like the plushie? They send
no.
that too? Wow, that's so disrespectful.
Just threatening notes. I mean, you gotta switch it up eventually. I think, and I hope that this is gonna be a close series. I think out of all teams, this attitude from Winthrop University of like, we can beat any team. We can also lose to any team. They have expressed that they have lost to other collegiate teams because these teams are good and anyone can beat anyone. I think that mentality that they have, I think is going to fare really well in a space where maybe some people would be intimidated going up against a super duper sub, right? I think that is going to fare really, really well and is going to be really fun. I just look at this on the other side and I'm like, you know what? To the 1 week, I'm not gonna get in trouble with my predictions. I'm not gonna have
Fair enough.
the tens. I'm not gonna have the tens fans after me. I'm not gonna have the Sentinels fans after me. And I do think that, you know what, him playing here will be a lot of fun. But we gotta make sure that we are all ready and everyone is sat and waiting. So a quick break as you guys get your snacks, get ready. You're not gonna want to miss it. We'll be right back.
We need to go our ways. Don't you see the mess you made? Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe. Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe. We need to go our ways. Don't you see the mess you made? Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe. Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe. We need to go our ways. Don't you see the mess you made? Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe. Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe. We need to go our ways. Don't you see the mess you made? Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe. Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe. We need to go our ways. Don't you see the mess you made? Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe. Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe. We need to go our ways. Don't you see the mess you made? Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe. Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe. Yeah, I'ma hit the road, babe.
Winthrop University going up against Cubert Academy. Everyone is here. Tens is on the neon. We got Ale on the ISO. Ash, we got a banger of a match ahead.
We absolutely do. Honestly, I wasn't expecting Tens to actually slot into the duelist. I guess it does make sense. Like it could be easiest for them to be slotting him in. It to kind of like I guess like merge into the protocoling and the system that Cubert have built up. And Redux has been incredibly flexible for this team as well, right? Just shuffling around and whatnot. So this, I guess, is what is most comfortable for Cubert in that regard. So Tens back onto his home ground. Honestly, I thought we were going to maybe see him flexing around because of how much adaptability he has and how many different roles he's played. But to be fair, for the most part, it's been like everything except for Sentinels for him. And for the side of Winthrop, they lean into this composition that's been heavily favored, especially since like the Tejo nerf has come through as well. So I'm really excited to see how this one's going to go.
I can kind of actually see why Tens is more so into the duelist role, and I think I feel like it's more so just simply because, like, obviously this whole entire team has had the time to play together for quite a while. So, you know, you're inputting a player that you already know is predominantly good at a certain role, right? The duelist. So just kind of, yeah, like placing Tens there, I feel like is the best decision they could have made, just for the sake of knowing that no matter what happens, there will be a frag. Like, and going over to Winthrop as well, like, I like the fact that they kind of diverted a bit more into the meta here in terms of Haven and just using like just something simple, but also something that's been working so well, and leaving Ali and Infiltrator to do the dirty work, which is great.
Picking up the neon to try and run it down on some college kids, but Winthrop University, they're capable of shooting back. It's time to head into Haven and see how this one's going to be shaking up, and send it over to your casters, Vans and Jen, to get you started.
Thanks, Sierra, and thanks everyone for tuning in. We got the Lord of the Winds, the Return of the King, and Tens is here to smurf on some, quote, college kids, as Sierra likes to say, during a playoff run. But hey, these college kids, they pack a punch, and they're ready to take playoffs by storm.
100%, especially when it comes to Winthrop University, with Ali coming into from coaching back into the roster. They've been snagging some nice little wins as well, and Moves have been finding some sort of groove into this new role with Winthrop University. That said, though, for Cubert Academy, I don't know if Redux is actually going to be that flexible. I did some really quick math just by skimming through the numbers on VLR, but let's say in around 700 games, Redux has only played 4 games of Cypher officially. So I don't know how that's going to look for Redux overall as a Cypher role, but man, who cares? Tens is playing, and he's playing Neon.
Yeah, whatever you want, baby girl. You can have any
exactly.
shit. Just help us win, bro. Please, bro. I need the win, bro.
And he is.
But it's working. Gotta go fast. And Cubert Academy, I need to step up. But as soon as the smoke comes up, did not want to get hosed down by Winthrop. So Cubert Academy, not going to play as fast and loose yet. Well, Infiltrator was going to play, and then, you know, that happened. But hey, Cubert Academy are marching.
And now, though, you still have Tens inserted into the C cubby. So as it's not really being spotted by the camera yet, Tens could actually start pulling rotates when he starts moving up and breaking this camera. But because they've already forfeited the whole storage side for Cubert Academy when they've lost Redux at the very beginning, you can't really walk back into A. So they decide to group up together and go for the last minute hit into the C site, where now Moves is about to get tested.
It's a real dance between all the sites. Here's the plant, smoke in place, Moves and Flare together, no paranoia, but vibes, and Asil will be on his way, and I would like this recon to be used first, so he can at least assess and get some attention. Shots towards the recon. It's been messy, but a big opener. This is a double kill for Moves. And Tens has to pick things up, and not even the GOAT can do it all, so Winthrop will take the pistol.
Yeah, and Moves just caught Knights off guard. With the smoke dissipating, never anticipated that Moves is going to be just out in the open. And the surprise is actually not only 1, but 2 players on top of that, rendering very difficult for Tens to try to win a 3 versus 1, or a 1 versus 3 rather, as he was trying to play into the clutch. That said, everything worked out quite well and gracefully when Infiltrator already got that pick. And that's what I was mentioning before, with taking down Redux and then them also taking down Infiltrator down by grass. You've already lost so much map space into Garage, into B, into A site. So you have to commit towards C. And if it wasn't for moves with that 2K, maybe the story would have been different. But Winter University continues on a very strong foot here on Haven.
Recon out and getting a ping. Sometimes you have Neons just running down at this point, but with an Outlaw, just checking out. Getting a condition of, is Winthrop peeking out early, getting a sense of how Winthrop like to hold A. Got a camera out, up close in sewers. You're gonna drone out, see who's there. And Redux is ready to fight, even while ping. Big win for Ali. Got the double tap out, but not expecting that much smoke. The big double kill for T-Dog sets up Qbert for success. Now with the smoke in place, they'll get to cover their tracks and think of what's next.
That was also part of the plan. Redux letting himself getting Owl Drone, getting picked off so T-Dog can pick up the Guardian and get 2 kills. So they went for a force buy after getting a plant for Qbert Academy, but it's not the good old trusty stinger buy. They tried to go for range because of this type of map where you're trying to go for picks at the long range distance, and you can't really use util to open up sites, so nice little pace to start.
Good fault line from Nismo. And Winthrop have to now battle through the smokes, depending on how Azure wants to pop out. Infiltrator with a big tube. Timing. Now it just moves in a 1 versus 2, and it's good effort, but not enough against Qbert.
And that's the thing that I was trying to mention before. When you don't have util to work with, think back about the tail breach meta into a stinger buy. You have cycled util that you can leverage and really oppress a site and really allow for you to get space and then close the gap with the stingers on that bot. But because you don't have that anymore into, tail being nerfed down, and you're also having T-Dog playing a Sova, you're just trying to leverage distance instead, and it works out. They were able to compose themselves on 2 great openers on trades, get a plant, reset the economy for Winthrop University, put them onto an eco, and force them to push for information. There's already a camera up for Redux that's going to force a TP away. That's space gain now for Qbert Academy to fight towards the C site against Moobs again.
Moobs is going to have a good tap there. A lot of smokes are hindering Qbert, and it's 1, 2, 3. Infiltrator gets lucky through the smoke. And Qbert Academy really like to pivot back and forth, and it's going to be hard for Winthrop to keep up with this, as Winthrop aren't going to try and push their luck on the flank, and not again. Now exploring through courtyard. Got garage control, but where this ISO is inserted, where Ali is, could catch Qbert. And well, I guess Flavor's gonna peek out of garage and get the spike down. Gonna cause some activity for Qbert to recover that. I'm surprised that Flair and Ali didn't want to try and go for more. Still an important cutoff point. Tens is down, traded by Redux. Spike continues its way over. Maybe gonna need some help though from Knights, especially with the paranoia, but now deciding, okay, there's way too much danger here. They're gonna go through A.
Well, it's so hard for them to get map control, and they've already lost T-Dog in the very beginning. You can't drone into garage. You're trying to group up to hit up the B site so that it's easier for you to entry, but Dismal just got caught off. The silver lining, at least, is that they have an open site for C to plant, and they also have better weapons to work with in the post plant, because nobody really picked up, and only Flair finally picked up a rifle here.
Shock bolts and Recon so annoying out of Nasi, and Qbert couldn't plant because of that. And Qbert Academy do a good job of working up the map, but just these lucky shots from the shares through the smokes and Winthrop getting ahead of the rotation game. They get a thrifty out of this.
Yeah, I don't know if Production Observers is able to catch that, but that was a kill with a Stinger wallbang. So I have to see what else was being used. Was there a second shock dart that kind of pushed him off position and he's able to get like 1 bullet off the edge of the boxes here? I think this is it right here. But if not, nonetheless, that's Nasi still getting a crucial kill, not allowing Qbert Academy to go for a plant. So now you have trades on trades in terms of lower buys, and Qbert Academy, because they have no plant, they can't really go for the strongest of buys ever, and they can only count on Knights with the strongest weapon of a Guardian. And he's watching it towards C. So a 4-player group up towards the cubby on this side here of the A entrance. And yeah, no surprise kills coming out from Infiltrator.
Like that Winthrop are testing the waters out with these smokes in place to just take as much map control as possible and see how Qbert are going to try and oppress them. But now it's a walk up through A. Keep in mind, though, Ali could be on the flank here. And it will be watched, not with the trip from Redux, but just himself. And at least he could have the assistance of T-Dog to try and turn around. But this is still a save from Qbert. So You need as much of a buddy system as possible, and this is going to recruit the entirety of Hubert to turn around for this flank. And it's just so much damage from Ali and Infiltrator. But at least that flank is snuffed out. Flare is up next. Gets the spike down. Redux is trying to dance. Good pivots, good swings, but Flare is better with a better gun. It's just Knights. He's like, I got the site clear, guys.
30 seconds
Space
left.
is made. And he's got to try and play with his team a bit more, help them out in these situations so the trades can go more their way.
Yeah, if anything, though, you have to give it for Winthrop University, making sure that the protocols are still there. Because I like how Hubert Academy tried to make a lot of noise towards the A site, but then everybody instantly turns around on a 180 just to fight back with this eco that they have to punish the players pushing through. It worked out for a couple of kills, but you were hoping here from Knight's perspective that somebody else is going to over-push and over-rotate to support Flare fighting here against Redux in the back of the A site to control the spike. But you saw here from...
God. Holy shit.
Yeah, you saw it from that side there, from Nasi. He just stayed put towards that spawn and never allowed himself to be exposed to Knights. So I love here that we're staying confident with Winthrop University. And again, this is a map picked by Hubert Academy because with this composition of this Neon, they've been dominating every single team in Challengers in North America, winning the last 4 and not giving any opportunities for their opponents to get more than like, what, 5 or 6 rounds. Yet Winthrop University is definitely making them run for their money so far on their attack side.
Just an unmitigated op shot. It's that first blood for Winthrop, leaving Knights to, well, he could teleport over wherever Hubert decide to go, but now that they don't have Nismo, though, that really sucks because usually you'd like to fault line that box within the site of A, and she uses the entirety of his kit to really explode onto the site. So Infiltrator has flashes and dimensional drift too. You can kind of solo hold this if needed. See what Hubert have up their sleeve.
Yeah, it's a simple just take the site. They should smoke. I mean, they should have smoked Heaven at this part. They went a little bit too late, or too early rather, before the smoke blew. Yes, he gets traded out, but they're still running out of players now on the post plant for Hubert. Thankfully, finally Knights gets a pick.
And Winthrop lose the Oct too, so Hubert equal numbers. Now it's going to be Heaven taken. Sova through the front door. Nasi with shock bolts. Not feeling like he has enough time to flesh out these zones, and Nasi tries to do it all on his own. Now it's just up to Flare. Good paranoia. She could have combined that with his teammate. Perfectly synchronized, but now time is running out, and Hubert have all their bases covered as Flare chases down this last person. T-Dog is running for his life, buying time, and still stay stoic at the end.
And that's how you play the perfect 1v1. Play the clock to your favor, despite this being very labored for you to get the round as your Hubert Academy play against Winthrop University. This should be on paper an easy dub for Hubert. You just want to make sure that no matter what, you get the round. And T-Dog was able to isolate that for sure and guarantee that at least here for Hubert Academy, especially with that first mistake that just happened. Not making sure here that the window was fully smoked out before you started walking up. You just talked about it where you could maybe held it on the side of Infiltrator. He had the potential drift for them to just utilize for the retake towards the end. So with him dropping, they gave a much better chance for Hubert Academy to win that round.
Hunter's Fury early from Nasi detecting something from Hubert over at A, and it gets the spike down. So Hubert already have a setback. Kind of want to see 10s activate, especially with the overdrive, and that's an offensive Hunter's Fury, and Winthrop hits backs against the wall, but there's a bite from Winthrop. They will not be evicted, not without a fight, but Fridays from Hubert get into position, and it's just T-Dog left with a bark, and against Moops and Alley, just kind of a sort of high-low going on. T-Dog has shock bolts, but, oh yeah, recon too.
It just came back up. That said, though, with 50 seconds left, he's probably going to have to recon to find info, but that's at the risk of giving his own position away.
Hearing some walking near the door, too, so. Of course, they have eyes on the spike. Winthrop aren't going to be forced to move. And you've given them a chance to reposition, but T-Dog is also faking, making it look like he's maybe moved through main. And had this isolated 1v1 against Alley, but he stands tall. Winthrop lead by 2.
And then look at the X of where Nismo died. That's 2 rounds in a row where he's just trying to walk across after like what cages something to allow for them to get into some control of the long A into sewers, and he gets instantly dropped. And as you mentioned, it's a pivotal point and a pivotal piece of util that's needed on their side here for Nismo for them to really fully exit into the site like they can. Yes, to get a couple of entries here and there, but there's just so much value that the breach could bring if you could add extra flashes behind those neon walls to really flood against the defense here on the side of Winthrop University. So if anything, they're doing an excellent job on the side of the defense to just shut down initiator utility and not give a chance here for Qbert Academy to really set up on a much stronger hold on the site hits.
Qbert Academy have gone through so many changes. I mean, not even just 10s, like all the role swaps between Redux and Knights, and even Scuba going from Smokes to Sentinel this stage. But we also have to talk about the flexibility of Winthrop, because someone like Flare has been on Tejo 85% of the time in both stages. And now that that's out of the meta, this is the first time you're going to see him on Omen for a very long time. So, and there's a lot of work and a lot of prep that goes into playoffs. And it is double limb, there's wiggle room, but you're also going up against, if you're Winthrop, you're going up against one of the best teams in challengers. Despite Winthrop, I think technically having the better seed, they're pretty much the same. It's still an intimidating matchup to go into.
And the good thing about Flare as well is before playing the Teo is playing a lot of Brimstone too. So this is just regular roles for him to go back into the controller role.
Oh wow, we wanted to see Tens get fast, and gets the life snuffed out of him by Flare sitting in B. Weren't expecting Winthrop to just be within B so fast. Usually you can hold the sides of it. Qbert, oh, they're testing out something new, being aggressive, being able to run in. That's not going to work out. Camera's not going to see much too over in sewers. So Qbert are constantly having these rounds in 4v5s, and it is just pistols, so it's to be expected. Now just walking down through a courtyard. Now it's just a training range, and just get the one bot down. 3 more to go for Qbert. Now they still want to try their hand at B.
Yeah, thankfully you're quick to react on the side of Qbert to get a pick. You bring up a weapon, and Nismo has a chance now to put up some numbers on the board.
Okay. Constantly traded though out of Qbert, so it is going to cost a lot of weapons out of Winthrop.
Last player standing.
Oh, Nismo's trying to break into C, and a cage trip
30
potentially
seconds left.
was going to get in his way. So Winthrop are building themselves quite a lead early and being able to keep the op 2, build the economy going on, and with the ults they have, Winthrop are generating a huge threat.
Yeah, and with the call here from Winthrop University, they already have, I think it was 3 players towards the B site at the very beginning, anticipating, okay, well, our opponents are on our low buy. The easiest site to hit very quickly is the B site to try to play the plant, and then we can play the off site. And then suddenly you have Flare TP on the top of the B site, and then just catches Tens off guard as he's trying to run through with the overdrive. That's just a nice little read coming out here from Winthrop University. And look at that, they're now double engaging here to try to get a shock dart into the cubby. Unfortunately, it doesn't hit anybody, but I like the idea. So you had the undercut coming out here from the B site with the flash, or the smoke rather, but at least Knights is able to answer back into the garage.
I know
Flick was gonna hit from Infiltrator too, and that's such a big win condition you remove from them. Neural theft because of that drop will give an advantage to Redux and friends of Qbert, figuring out which the weaker site is, and Flare throws a paranoia, but Nasi wasn't by his side, so they're gonna take a second to regroup. I like maybe just trying to hit a different angle too through garage. It is smoke though, and because Qbert have all 5 alive, they have so many bells and whistles for this post plant, even having a drone later on.
Yeah, I'd probably save for us Winthrop here. Even if you could buy within the next round, trying to make it expensive is the next thing. But after that HP remaining from Nasi, these last 2 guys have to save. I like the pivot though coming back from Qbert Academy. The play behind Winthrop University with what they're trying to do with the shock dart combination with the undercut towards A was to get some double damage, some instant kills. But if they don't spot any pressure coming out from the A side, an infiltrator is going to be ready and anticipates the pivot back or control here towards grass. You're playing a Yoru. You got to give him a chance here to try to go for the pick and TP out, but he gets instantly punished. And as he gets taken down, you just fast go towards the C side because of that combo play. You know that there's triple util on that A side, so it's weak towards C. So I love the call from T-Dot to go very quick towards the C site, and the just quickly overtook the solo anchor player on the C site.
You know, Cubert are going to have a strong offense coming up when they have Rolling Thunder, and it's just going to take over any site they want. And it's perfect for somewhere like A, especially when Winthrop are playing very, very close and may even peak early. So it's going to be Nasi that finds that out the hard way. And Ali's so aggressive through sewers, even just dodging the shock bolts, and this time being aware that there's not a gap in that smoke this time. But Cubert like to hang back and wait for that approach. It's a teleport from the offensive Omen. It's a pivot towards Garage. Cubert are working the map, and Winthrop trying to keep up. Entry into C. You got the neon wall splitting up and not letting moves get too much vision. The paranoia through. Cubert just are getting surrounded, and they need to pick an angle to dominate in. And with Infiltrator, it's going to be hard. Neural Theft is going to help Winthrop suss out where Cubert are going.
The solo a-hold from Ali. He already used a double tap, so 1v1 here. Oh, he's screwed.
Okay, at least the contingency to try and block some of this damage. He's gonna need help, and backup has arrived. 911, the ambulance for Winthrop has made its mark, and it's just nice. He gets good trades, and it's Winthrop that keep the gap at 3.
Yeah, it was a 911 call the ambulance, but not for me. Actually, after all. Because the Rolling Thunder had, you mentioned it was supposed to get a lot of value out for Nismo, but as soon as he gets it across and does get the hit onto Ali, that slow wall, the right click, the buff that came through from the right click wall of the ISO just didn't allow here for Cubert Academy to really move as quickly, and even a better chance for the rest of Winthrop to rotate back over on that side. And that's thanks to the double ult coming out here from Infiltrator and also from the Cypher from Moobs. Already understanding the rotate over, the over-rotate from Cubert towards the A side.
Ooh. Finding Ali early. Cubert ramping up the aggression, reading Winthrop and adapting well. Now it's the paranoia that splits Cubert in half as Winthrop want to prevent this from getting too settled. Flare and Nasi do such a fantastic job as a duo to win the site for the defense.
They did a good job for Cubert Academy to kick things off on sewers and get that first initial pick into the consistent walk up from Ali into sewers. But after that, trying to get back into the A site, there's just too many players to deal with. And Winthrop University have always been looking much better into the crossfire setups and the anchorings that they're currently doing here against Cubert. It's looking a little bit tougher right now on the attack side with Cubert, but I feel that that's kind of like expected. When you have somebody like you've lost Scuba at this point, who's been, you know, a pivotal point into a controller role, into the sentinel role as well for Cubert Academy, and now you're giving it to your main duelist guy to try to play it.
Okay, double swing is nice from Cubert on the lowered body. Do what you can, what you got. Winthrop are just constantly getting first bloods though, and they're winning all these rounds from not even needing to defuse, but to just prevent Cubert from getting established, which speaks a lot to the confidence you have to bring in a match that seems so intimidating, not only for the stakes, but who you're going up against. How many eyes could be watching? Now it's a Hunter's Fury right through the heart of Knights. And it gets Cubert scrambling and even a ping through main. Saucy's trying to prevent the plant.
Spike planted.
Now he gets on the high ground. That's left unsmoked. Cubert don't even have a controller. They have their own Hunter's Fury if they want to play through main. And now he's on the flank. Gets a last glimpse at tens before the punish is there. It's a 3 and everyone just collapsed like a heart attack. Winthrop now getting a round from a defuse.
And it's so hard for Cubert Academy to play the post plant. At that point, they did have the Hunter's Fury available for T-Dog, but because they've already lost Redux at the very beginning, as you're executing towards the A site, you have zero information of who's behind. So you have no choice but to stay within and hoping that, you know, they're going to be more antsy for Winthrop University on that retake from the spawn side. But as I mentioned before, they haven't been antsy on the side of the defense. They've been so clean from top to bottom so far, from A to Z, on how they're protocoling their defense for this collegiate team. They're definitely making it difficult here for Cubert Academy. And I'm not just saying because Redux is playing the sentinel role that it's already going to look bad. It's just overall, you're now trying to add more synergy with tens coming into the roster and making things work off the fly. It's very difficult to do.
Oh, Ali's on his way with a contract, but it's 1 to kill, and he's kidnapping. I think that was Redux. So while that goes on, Hubert are just gonna take a chill pill. And Ali wins that kill contract, ink to paper, and Qbert have a sewers push going, smokes, but because Qbert take long to get into the site, allows for Winthrop to keep up with rotations, to be stacked, and even develop a flank every now and then, just like Ali did last round. Ooh, I like when you dodge in the camera too, like IRL, but shooting through the smoke. Here's the vulnerable out of the ISO. Qbert now just spamming through the smoke and moves with 30 HP, gets 2 for the road,
Down A.
making it a lot easier for Infiltrator in this 1v1 against Knights, who honestly could have even teleported at that window, had enough time to plant. Infiltrator will be in heaven. Isn't gonna spot any targets based on the play. No, he's in hell. It sends him right there. What a flick from Infiltrator.
Infiltrator with the 180, landing on the ground and still has enough time to even scope in and get that shot onto Knights. I don't think he was ready for that drop down since the very beginning because of the decoy that went through first. And then suddenly you just drop down, get the pick, and you turn this into a 9-3 half for Winthrop University. I had a big question mark though on why do we push so many players through this smoke? I mean, looking back at it, it seems as though they've already lost Nismo or something in that process, or not enough util to flash through the smoke, but did not time that out correctly on the side of Qbert, and he got shut down by moves.
9-3 half is super solid for Winthrop though. Really impressed with what they're able to do, and now these double duelists gets to thrive on offense. It gets skill checked by T-Dog. Just gonna throw that initial shock bolt, not even the recon. As T-Dog will have to take a seat. I'm looking forward to seeing what Infiltrator can do. He can create an opener, but he's got a 2-man split of Qbert within B. The smoke is not gonna isolate them, so a tough duel. Now, actually, that Yor has an isolation, and that's an opener against Nismo, and runs headfirst into Knights and puts him to bed, and opens up the B site for Winthrop to carry through, and there's only so much space he can make. Winthrop will have to make do, and on the flank, T-Dog with 10 HP, open for a backstab, isn't going to have the right timing, but in the front line is Redux and Garage. Ready to swing, but Flare's ready. If Redux wants to follow through, and that's good backup. This is a good Winthrop pistol, at least in terms of health. But Winthrop still don't know where T-Dog is, I believe, so this backstab could still be huge. He's catching Flare, takes his time. Tens has the most health too. Nasi's gonna turn around to deal with Garage, so Tens just has to finish up this round. No, Nasi! That's nasty!
Oh, an insane 1v2 by Nasi to clutch that one out. Oh my god. I just love the patience coming out from Tens at the very beginning, or at least on a site hit coming out from Winthrop University. Because you already had Redux playing inside the Garage, you're thinking, okay, well, he's gonna just play soft side on C, they're gonna play retake on C side, the Neon's nowhere to be found, probably still helping up towards the A side, and Tens gets the easy kill right there onto moves. But then after that, the patience coming out from Nasi. He's inserted himself into the C side and just waited a couple of extra seconds for him to just activate right after and get the backstab on 2 players. That was so nice. And now you're forcing Qbert Academy into a strange buy, a Bucky, a Stinger, no armor. Just trying to keep the econ correct into some way for Qbert Academy to probably get some sort of hero play out of this type of buy and stay within the game. But if not, Winthrop University is about to dominate Qbert on this first map.
An outlaw buy for Infiltrator, trying to get mileage out of it to see if Qbert were going to get desperate, maybe a Stinger buy and just run it down, or whatever they were going to have. The outlaw's great for that distance, and moves is great for the first blood, but staying within the smoke. Redux with the shorty puts 1 down. There's a few more to go. Through Garage, Knights is denied an angle that could have caught Winthrop by the Achilles. And this round feels pretty secure for Winthrop.
Planted.
Give me 4 Sheriff one-shots, Tens. Just stay on him and see what we get. The best thing they have is recon from T-Dog, and then maybe get a pick through the recon dart. That might be the saving grace. But if not, with the University sitting comfortably at 11.
Fasty. Get as much information with what you can and really just aim check Winthrop, see if they can catch you. But this is, I mean, Winthrop hitting double digits, up to 11. This is Cubert just warming up. You know, it is their first time playing with 10s. I don't even know how much time they've scrimmed together. But I don't know if I was expecting like a lashing like this, I guess.
Yeah. Well, at this point, maybe not at an 11-3 scoreline, but I would definitely not want to discredit like the progress that Winthrop University has made throughout this Challenger split. Actually, even in 2025. If you look back into 2024 or 2023 of Winthrop University from collegiate until now, they were not really talked about. In the collegiate scene, again, I have to talk about probably Blinn Esports or Northwood University, which Ali was a part of in the first place in that Northwood run. But ever since he's joined now into the Winthrop University camp, Winthrop University has been looking quite clean throughout this year. So again, another one of those probably the dark horse going into this split. I don't think they would be in conversation as like the clear top favorites to be winning Ascension, but definitely probably that gatekeeping team that wouldn't allow players and teams to ascend into the playoffs, at least into the inner regions of LATAM and South America and North America.
Yeah, Winthrop have only grown in terms of results since last year. Last year, they went from getting relegated in Stage 2,
like
top 6 in Stage 3. Yeah, they got relegated in Stage 2, top 6 in Stage 3. They finished 3rd place last stage, and now once again, they're making playoffs. And this is a 4-man core that has been together since their entry into Challengers last year. And Flair joining Winthrop has only been a blessing. And to kick off playoffs with an 11-3 against still a really remarkable team says so much, the amount of work. And Gomper's talked about just the grind of doing collegiate, multiple tournaments there, to playing in challengers. Like, this is such good representation for what collegiate can do to support talent.
Yeah, Moose is going to go after us again if they win this first map. That said, though, chances are on the side of Cubert Academy. The first pick did come through from Knights all the way towards Long C. And this bonus round that you currently have from Winthrop University is not the best for them to have a clean execute into the A site, because Infiltrator has an outlaw to work with. So you're just trying to scan through, you're trying to force players out of position, and hopefully Infiltrator getting a pick off the outlaw. But that site smoke being thrown out was perfect here so far for Cubert.
Infiltrator has to do this with the outlaw, I guess.
Shorty.
Shorty, okay. That's where it is, and it's down on the ground now. Who cares what he has? Cubert just hold the line, and T-Dog is something else. Even combined with 10s, they hold the wall and they hold Winthrop back from the spike too.
Gotta kill your lucky stars, especially there for T-Dog to find that timing just before the smoke was about to dissipate. Just walks in and catches Infiltrator switching out to his flash when Infiltrator is holding the shorty the whole time inside that smoke. So that gives a chance here, a little bit of room to breathe for Cubert Academy. First clean round that they have, but that's against the bonus round from Winthrop University that, you know, helps in the end. And look at that. That's how you get the timing of that one. Trying to maximize, at least trying to maximize off orbs, but it gets denied after the swing came through. But at least they have good econ to work with. We're even in terms of rifles on both sides, virtually the same weapons on both ends.
Ow, what a gamble from Cubert. 4 stacked on the
It
right
works.
side. And it's working. You'll get moves and a fault line. It's trying to assist the rest of Cubert to collapse on this Winthrop entry. While the rest, okay, the spike is left behind. So Winthrop are like, hey, we got the site. Where's the rest of you? Well, 10, we'll find the rest of you. And he gets the 1. And Winthrop will march with what they have left. Infiltrator and Ali against Nismo and T-Dog. Full util kill contract 1v1 and in real life 1v1 and the kill contract. Nismo shuts down Ali. This is what could help save Cubert Academy and give themselves more cushion against the 11 rounds of Winthrop. Unless Infiltrator can speak a win into existence.
Flash gave his position away, but T-Dog doesn't want to drone himself to give his own position away. They just want to play the time. If anything, Hunter's Fury is going to be perfect in the last second when Infiltrator's going to try to plant, so you're just trying to play to your best of capabilities here with what you have in your pocket. Free kill.
It is done.
Free kill, patience
Moving ahead.
paying off, and it's now 2 in a row. I don't know. Can Cubert really just pull off a perfect defense? It'll have to be perfect economy, perfect cycling of ults. Any gap, any opening you give to Winthrop, they will take.
Yeah. If anything, any opening they gave to Cubert Academy, they took it so far in that previous round. So you can't be too complacent for the side of Winthrop University when you've already had a 9-3 half to your favor with a strong defense. But then with that type of fake towards the A site, you hit towards C, you get the opener, but still leave the spike towards spawn. That's just them starting to feel that they could finish it, that they could finish Cubert Academy on this first match. But they just have to make sure here that they don't slip through the overconfidence that they're currently building.
Defensive Hunter's Fury just right through the throat and just, okay, that open teleports out. That was kind of nice from Flair and Cubert. Just hammering down the doors, and Nasi with the hero Vandal wants to hold down both doorways. That is ambitious. And moves will support Sheriff at a distance, but now smoked off. Winthrop are just gonna hope to spam through and use these shock bolts on the post plant. Wait for the smoke to dissipate. Hopefully it does so soon. Lucky spam through the smoke and a roundabout. Red tens stopped, but the rest of Cubert pick it up, and the spike ticks down as defused. Cubert continue their streak.
I was about to see the vision there on the side of Winthrop University. If that third player came down after tens got dropped by running outside of grass, you had the Hunter's Fury available in the post plant. But thankfully, Cubert Academy just made sure that they rushed through as fast as they could to trade instantly to have the last player just stick onto that spike and not get any value off that Hunter's Fury. So very nice one being done here by Cubert Academy on that retake. That's 3 rounds in a row right now. And you're starting to see a very similar trend of how things kind of like just pertain itself since that first half. A lot of rounds strung here on the defensive side from Winthrop University in the very beginning. Now... Oh, the TP!
What's going on?
How's he still alive?
He's going in blind. Ten's still there. And the flank is generated from Cubert through A. And the Hunter's Fury tries to pierce the hearts of the defenders. And Winthrop have an open sight, but Garage being pushed from Cubert. You got flashes from Nismo. Ready for the count. Paranoia 2! Still, Nasi is still able to get one, but Nismo's just better! The 3K to save Cubert once again.
Nismo on Haven is back, baby, and when we were questioning how the hell was 10 still alive, you just saw that when Infiltrator TP'd across, that fault line actually hit him instantly. So the fact that Nismo stayed back towards that C-Link and just stayed glued towards that minimap to just time the fault line to keep 10s alive, at least for that 1 kill, and then the flash assist for the trip kill on that retake, was a big round for the veteran coming out from Nismo. Again, for me, the next player to look out for to move up into the VCTs, man. This guy's been grinding for the longest time since Valorant came out, and he needs his chance.
Cubert Academy would like to keep some players, though. They've promoted enough, so like, you know, it's fine. Everyone graduate. And the whole goal is to graduate, you know, college or tier 1. But Knights is, well, putting everyone into detention. That was gross. How are Cubert just, now is this 5 in a row? Is this happening?
Yeah. And even to go back to that topic for Cubert Academy, hell yeah, they want to promote everybody one by one because they unfortunately cannot ascend as a team. So if every single player has an opportunity to prove themselves within this roster, within Cubert Academy, and then you have a system that allows for these players to move up to tier 1 because you have great support coming up from Sentinels that wants to pay a roster to continue to funnel good talent, hell yeah. Props to Sentinels and Rob Moore for that one, by the way.
I'll handle this.
Infiltrator, dimensional drift through Barrage, while the rest of Cubert wait for what information he could deliver them. Omen, Cypher within the site, Paranoia, contingency forward, a lot of space taken, the Judge, where the sun don't shine, and Cubert left to pick up the pieces, and 2 tripwires are going to stop tens on this flank, while Infiltrator heads back to dispatch that darn duelist. And it's not just him, it's T-Dog too. And Tens has it off, which isn't the most easy thing to try and push two people. What a pinch for Mally and an Infiltrator. Now everything feels pretty set in stone for Winthrop. Isma's on the site, but there's 4 ahead, and his position revealed. Almost an ace full Infiltrator. You'd love to see that guy get online.
Oh, dude, with so many good rounds coming out from Qbert Academy and the comeback that was starting to flourish here on the side of Qbert Academy, it had to be thwarted by a Yoru with a judge out from the mental drift to get 2 picks like that. I mean, what assistant? I mean, I guess there was a paranoia. There was a big paranoia that came through, and he's able to come out of it and get 2 kills with a judge. A nice little combination, but that's just so annoying to deal with, and that's going to be a morale breaker for sure when it's just a judge that kills 2 players and puts them at map point for Winthrop.
Yeah, you're on your last life if you're Qbert Academy. A university versus an academy, but it's Winthrop taking them to school. AR's just set up on having Ali work around. The rest of Winthrop don't have the luxury of having a breach or something easy to get into the site. I guess Infiltrator will just shoot better. And that's going to weaken that and get Qbert to scramble to fill those gaps.
Playing another player deficit now for Qbert Academy and playing Saucelet on C, full retake, just counting on the trips for information so that you can double up in the buddy system, and the buddy system gets fully denied in front of B site. That should be GG right here.
It's good teamwork out of Qbert despite everything, even with the double swing. But Winthrop, just the patience really pays off. How they're able to work the map, but also execute a little bit faster at the end. You'd love to see Winthrop have just a shining moment early on in playoffs, taking Qbert's map pick of Haven. And now we go to Lotus up next. And it was cool to see Qbert Academy form that sort of comeback and how they're able to play under kind of high stakes and so much pressure of having to play flawless. But goes to show the work that Winthrop have done to get to this point. Yeah, it was nice to still see how good Winthrop University looks, and they're not, you know, quaking in their boots having to play against a star such as Tens back in VALORANT, and also playing in challengers in a strong roster in Qbert Academy. So for them to be able to get that upset victory against Qbert on their map pick, again, a map that's been so good for Qbert Academy that have won like 13 4s and 13 5s in the last like 4 games. That shows that with the university came prepared no matter what within this series to move forward in the playoffs. The saving grace is that, well, Lotus, Qbert Academy could repeat the Neon and just with more time build that chemistry and just synchronize, and one day, maybe one game, Qbert Academy can push Winthrop to their limits, but we'll find out if that happens after the break.
I feel like my route as a pro player has been pretty steady, I'd say. I started all the way back playing some tier 3 tournaments with my team last year. I qualified to challengers, and from challengers to ascension. And this year I decided to come to NA challengers, which its level is higher than the challengers from my own region. So I feel like if I would describe my route as a pro player, I would say that it's like steady, taking each step at a time, and hopefully this year I get to Ascension again and get to close it out and win it all. It was kind of like a reality shock, and maybe last year they handed our to us. It's not something that I was expecting, because in Brazil, honestly, I believe we were the better team in our region. that made me a little bit overconfident when coming to Ascension. And when we came to play against teams like Amady, whose level was so high, it was something like, what should we have done in order to beat this guys? Normally when we lose in our own region, we would like know what happened. When we played against Amady, I felt like, what should I have done better? Because I don't know. And then it's something like clicked on me. It's like, oh, you can actually get a lot better than you are now. In the beginning, it was kind of hard. I was not playing well. Amady has been very welcoming, and the transition has been really easy for me. And towards the end of the first stage, I got to get back on my feet. I feel like stage 2 is going to be much better for me. Personally, to win it all, no? Win stage 2, win the next tournaments, and go to Ascension and get Amady the 3rd participation, and honestly get them to win and get them to ascend.
All these people would really like to give up and they don't really have that drive.
The expectation should be to win first place.
Get them to ascend.
We kind of just threw at the end.
Yeah, Amady, we're winning 5 versus 3.
Look how quick this one.
Oh!
Winthrop University going up against Qbert Academy, a highly anticipated matchup here in the first round of our playoffs. We've seen these two face off before, and it's been an even footing. But now on the Qbert Academy map pick, it's going to be none other than Winthrop University to take a massive lead and not give it up. 13-8 victory in the end. I mean, Gompers, going into this, a lot of questions from both ends, of course, right? But Winthrop University gets to the server and they give us the one answer that we always know. They can shoot.
No, they can. And, you know, I mean, I'm used to them relying a lot on like the structured comps and map specific agent depth and coordination. But it felt like here, what we did get to see was like they were truly working as a unit, the unit that we know them as Winthrop. They were running onto sites together, constantly having refrag potential. And not only that, being very diligent with utilizing the util around them, whether it be theirs or not. You can see here, especially like, you know, just, I mean, everybody was trying their absolute best to really get by and do what they can. But I think Winthrop did it the absolute best in regards to just being hyper aware of their surroundings and knowing that, you know, 2 is better than 1, right? So for me, I don't know, gameplay was absolutely immaculate. Their cohesion was as well.
I think we're also looking at the fact that for Winthrop, this is comfortable for them because they didn't have to make any changes heading into playoff either, right? And this is the composition that they've been running with consistently as well. And for the side of Qbert, we're in kind of this awkward situation for the team where they're trying to figure out where they slot ends in. We were talking about it a little bit before going into this map about how it kind of makes sense for him to kind of slot into the duelist role, just for the sake of not having to have too many moving pieces, because the role shuffle was what Qbert had struggled with throughout stage 3 before finding that comfort ground, right? But also just like taking a look at the numbers that we have on the board, the timeline that we kicked off this matchup with, you got to give kudos to Qbert to the fact that they tried to bring it a bit closer. For the side of Winthrop, they started up initially 11-3 before Qbert clawed back to that 8-11 mark, and then Winthrop win that out throughout then. But even just like the first kills and first death was absolutely huge as far as like the differential goes there. And I think we had a lot of eyes also on Nismo in this particular matchup. He's touted as one of the best like supporting agents as far as initiator players go within the tier 2 scene. We heard Vans and Lemon talking about that and how we were hoping to see him kind of synergize with Tens, and they haven't had that much time together. This is something where I guess for that end, we're hoping for them to warm up into it, but Infiltrator needed no warm up into Haven.
That is for sure. Infiltrator we highlighted going into the map, and Infiltrator did not disappoint. And some of those shots, I mean, I'm thinking even still to the A site where Tens is the op and Infiltrator pop around the corner. Oh, little pop to the head, like done. Like Infiltrator, no fear. And I think that's the biggest thing, Gomps, when I look at this Winthrop University squad, to have that confidence and also just having those levels of comfort that Ash is talking about. So good. Infiltrator, such a strong start to this series. And I'd love to see this continue on.
I think, yeah, and I think off of that strong start of being able to just really pocket so many wins off of the first couple rounds did kind of feed into the ego a bit, to be completely honest with you. I mean, you're winning fights against members of Sentinels QB Sports that you didn't think you probably, I mean, they probably did think they could, but members that are considered to be very high up on the social status. So like now you're absolutely dominating them. Not only that, but you're a collegiate team that people didn't necessarily respect before. So it honestly does, I'm assuming it does feel really, really good to kind of walk away with a victory like this. And you can see it, right? Jumping out of heaven with the op and just obliterating anyone below. Like, that's crazy. But that's the confidence that we get to see from a duelist like Infiltrator, who all in all knows I'm better.
And also just one, we're talking about how he is so good. He's so confident. He's one of the best duelists that we currently have within stage 2. He's had this consistent performance starting in stage 1 and carrying it over now into this playoffs run that's just getting started here, right, for both of these teams. But it also the fact that you have to give a lot of credit also towards Nasi. I feel like when we see Infiltrator on that Yoru pick, we don't usually give as much love over to the initiators because that Yoru is so self-sufficient with its own flashes, with those TPs in, but they synergize really nicely with the Sova utility coming out from Nasi and the recon darts that go out to get that additional information while Infiltrator's playing a bit of that distraction. He gets TP on back site, glean picks from the information that's given, and just have the rest of the team kind of find that success in the chaos that ends up being created with those micro plays. But I just really also got to compare, like Nasi was also fragging. Like we cannot forget that. Like Infiltrator was having a great game, but Nasi had some insane moments as well. And for your IGL to be leading in having such a strong performance while leading, it shows great signs of life for this team that they have that confidence to continue to carry forward here in this.
Yeah, there was a good chunk of that map where Nazi was leading the kills for the team. So to be able to see him pop off an Infiltrator, especially near the end, fares so well for Winthrop University, especially heading on into the series. Because reminder, as we called out, both of the two maps to start off were good for both teams, but it was technically Hubert's map pick. Now we're heading into Winthrop University's map pick of Lotus. Again, this is where I'm going to have some questions with changes. But in terms of that comfort, something that Winthrop University will have, they don't have to change to remember anything else. Lotus has been a mainstay for this team throughout all of Challengers Ash. So even when we do see a compositional switch, this should still be comfortable for them.
Oh, more than comfortable for them, right? I think that you're looking at Infiltrator now slotting back into the Neon here for Lotus as well. And he's one of the best Neon players alongside players like Bonnie and Penny and Paint. And Redux, too, who I'm not sure who we're going to be seeing on what role heading into this particular map there for Hubert, but the competition feels like so tight when it comes down to that duelist role on this map, too. But again, we have to keep in mind, it was that upset now on Haven heading into Lotus. This is a Winthrop that must be feeling incredibly confident. And now we're looking at Hubert to find that bounce back as far as even just like figuring out how that synergy has kind of like warmed up into the tail end of it.
I think under the circumstance that we also do see maybe Tens back on that duelist, it did feel a little passive for a Neon duelist in my opinion, to see Tens not be so proactive in kind of like playing with the utility and pushing up. It always, like, there were occasions where I did see Tens, you know, all the way in the back, kind of like not really ready to initiate a fight off the util that was being thrown. So I'm hoping if we do get under the circumstance where Redux is going to kind of play into that Sentinel role a little bit more, that we do get to see a bit more, you know, from this player, just because he is cracked and it's not really feeling like it today.
Oh, well, our agents are ready, so we don't have to guess too much about whether we get to see the role swaps or not heading into this. I feel like if they felt the confidence with Redux going on to the Sensi going into this, it would be a big switch up going into the map to mid-series, be switching up. But I'm ready to be surprised. But Going into it, Redux will be picking up the Vi's, so Tens can, in fact, go on that Neon. Ash, thoughts across the board with these switches?
I think I'm looking over at one. I think this is going to be interesting for the side of Hubert because Redux, again, he's leaned into that controller. He's leaned into the duelist here for Hubert. And then now slotting into this Sentinel, it's a lot that you're trying to learn to pick up, right? Like you're trying to figure out like these Vice setups. Then yes, you get to play within the playbook that was created for Scuba. But again, it's a different role that like, you're learning, right? And then for the side of Winthrop, honestly, I feel like it kind of makes sense that Ali slots into the race here. I know for Flair, we've seen him on the controller. It's an obvious change up, and with the Tejo being removed, I'm looking forward to seeing how aggressive a player we know Ali can be, slot into this double duelist next to Infiltrator. And guys, I also don't want to put too much pressure on Tens. Like all of these players are great at the end of the day. I feel like we've kind of like dove into that narrative. The expectation is not for him to carry. Again, he is a sub coming in for this team, and it comes down to how that bigger picture comes together.
I think when you look at it, Hubert Academy, it's a tough situation when you have the changes, right? But we're heading into the playoffs. We know that there's a very talented team around, and it's time to see heading into Lotus if they can step up, or if it's going to be Winthrop University to best them this time as we head into Lotus. Let's go on in, see how this one's going to fare, and head back to your casters, Vans and Jen.
Thanks so much, Sierra. I'm loving this post-Tejo meta. More duelists, more firepower, more craziness. And we get to kind of what we said before the break, Vans. Tens will get another game on the Neon. And I can appreciate what Ash said about not putting too much pressure on him, but also clutcher kicks. So
I'm still also very intrigued too with the Teo nerf to the ground. How come we're not seeing any like Gecko resurgences going back into a map like Lotus 2? Because that could be fairly strong to use, and maybe that's because Vice is still in the mix. Neon could still do a lot of damage, but I wouldn't be surprised if this changes as we move forward and try to figure out and min-max our compositions on a map, especially like Lotus. When you look at it from Winthrop University, though, yes, Ash went through the list here of this double duelist of Winthrop University, but I'm also very fond of this Nasi Sova pick. It's only in collegiate where I've seen a lot of Sova being used, and the next person I think is Dip when he was with the Winthrop University team that Ali was a part of. And I think there's probably value into seeing Nasi as this Sova in IGL for the team to help out now, maybe with some good Odin plays around this double duelist that Winthrop University pulls out on this map.
yeah, like Sova's so controversial because when I cast with Wyatt, he's a huge hater. And you're like a huge Sova lover. So all depends on, you get the information, but then you can't just explode into the site with like a breach like Nismo will be able to provide. So
yeah.
On defense,
so your race is going to do that, right?
Yeah, right. Right. You got two duelists, so if one gets trapped by the Vice Wall, there's always another. But this also was a Winthrop University that started off 11-3 against Hubert Academy on Hubert's map picks. So see how Lotus will go. And Hubert Academy on their offense, they really like to work the map. Smokes up, they pivot. And, well, Bumps wanted to see a more aggressive Tens on the Neon, and he slips right by, and they get hit by a Paranoia, though, from Flair. And Hubert are going, they're trying to join the other team. They're going to the defensive spawn and not coming out with any kills. So Hubert will just have to play this from front to back, 3v5. It's just going to be 5v nobody with Winthrop taking the pistol.
That was just a nice little play by Winthrop University to adapt on Hubert's Academy's hit. The smoke went back towards the defender spawn, right towards the, well, where those pings are, between those two pings that you're seeing on the minimap right now. But the big flash that came from Flair on a top B heaven right into that corridor of Waterfall just allowed the three players to pivot right in this moment right here to catch players off guard, push players through the spawn, and not give a chance here for Hubert Academy to go for that seaside split that I don't think I've ever seen in a pistol round before. And that was a nice, again, answer back from Winthrop University off the fly. And a great start as they are going with full stingers. And should be an easy round because Hubert didn't go for a plant, so they can't go for a stinger by themselves.
So much suppression from Winthrop when you got the Raise Nades, Infiltrator's whole kit, Shock Bolts. and already getting an early win in A lobby. They get the opener on C. Hubert haven't had a first blood in their favor yet. They can't even get the spike down. Nismo says, I swear I was watching it. An Infiltrator watches the bodies fall as he walks away with a 4K.
Yeah, I think that was another big assist coming out from Flair with the paranoia. That fully blinded the plant spiker and didn't even get the spike down. And that's 2 rounds by elimination by Winter University. No extra credits being built up by Qbert Academy. So you're going into this round with probably not the strongest of buys. If you're looking at it, you saw half shields, small shields, just to try to get max utility available here for Qbert Academy. And if there's anybody like Infiltrator that wants to start bringing out the Outlaw within this round, it could be quite detrimental, but Guardian instead with the Stinger buy that they had on that second round. But they still have a 4-player stack towards the A site, and Qbert's walking right into it.
No tempted with a good time, and Ali won't be here for a long time either. Just walking past the smokes. Man, I love that fire out of Qbert. Finally picking up the pace. Nasi will walk away with 2, silencing Qbert. And what looked like a relentless run on this offense. But now the threat is coming from stairs. That's where they last saw Winthrop escape. So Qbert, the suppressing fire is there as they watch to see if Winthrop will repeat. As the dust settles, Qbert will have to make do without T-Dog and 10s, which are going to be pretty important. Pivot into B. I love this read. Out of moves with a stinger. And oh, he just gets flashed and not able to do much.
Beautiful flash coming out from Nismo for that assist too. And I like the stop and go from Qbert, just to stay back, making sure that the players cannot upgrade into weapons, into rifles that were left behind here by T-Dog and 10s. And even it's being watched still by Nismo here. And that's the idea from Nasi. Trying to upgrade into a Vandal and just keep it.
The search and rescue, or maybe an Easter egg hunt, where you can find a gun, but solid round out of Qbert.
Yeah, he's got the Vandal behind him, but he doesn't want to pick it up yet because it would make the audio sound of him dropping the weapon. So he's just trying to wait the time and waiting enough, seeing that nobody was pushing out, decides to walk out, and finally Nismo finds the better timing here. And it's a clean round and some nice dancing coming out from 10s in the A side control. Right for the fight inside the smoke was beautiful to watch.
Not just getting that first blood, walking through the smoke, not kind of shying away once there's so much obstruction like this. And Qbert to just hit the pedal to the metal, realizing kind of that slower approach from Haven, which may be more suitable for that map. Trying to change up their style here. Talked about it between maps. Same Winthrop pressure at the Z lobby. Or Redux can leave a wall behind. Try to pull as much attention towards him as possible, but Winthrop are going to go for a flank. If anything, Winthrop are trying to catch up to leaving the left side of the map really open.
The fake TP2 for him to activate the first cage. But because of this wall being set up and already Redux giving up this area, this has to be like another stop and go back into the C site. And the fact that they've already used a one-way cage and already that second smoke, that's probably going to be a 14-second hit for Qbert Academy to fight into C control.
Just with vision from Flare into B, they know this door opening is probably fake. And Infiltrator would be in a position to counter if that were to be the case. So Qbert march on, they deal with moves in the corner, and Nasi gets caught a bit, but he escapes at the back. Waterfall, Flare emerges, he's alone, Nasi's smoked off, and Qbert just dispatched one problem at a time. But still, we can't give up on Winthrop. They just know how to strike back when the odds are against them, but Qbert closes it out. Beautiful round out of Redux.
Yeah, clean shots coming out from Redux too, leveraging Tenz's wall or even Infiltrator's wall to go back towards the outside of the C mountain and fight 2 individual 1v1s at that spot. But if anything, everything started quite well for Qbert Academy from the very get-go, breaking that util across from moves and running that util down. There was absolutely nothing left there for Qbert Academy to hold into the defense because they've already used their flashes, their smokes. Qbert just wins off gun battles. That finally breaks the econ on the side of Winthrop University, with the exception of Infiltrator going for a hero rifle because he could overdrive into the next round with Winthrop University's buy. So I like this coming out of them.
Yeah, same reaction, 5 HP too.
Exactly. Flair hit him for 145, which would have given a chance for that trade to happen, but then unfortunately the window closed. Infiltrator couldn't capitalize on that kill onto tens, and that gives a chance here for Winter University, or rather for Qbert Academy, to really just work the map and maximize the orbs.
And threw away from the Rolling Thunder, which is just going to be the most critical ultimate for Qbert. This Infiltrator will be at the back with that Hero Vandal, and if he wants to keep it, better be careful. His moves won't be able to help him unless he pushes past this smoke, and he does, but the paranoia from Qbert may have caught moves and puts him in a very awkward spot. With Infiltrator going 1-for-1, not bad. Let's see with the Sheriff, a hope and a dream. And nothing as Qbert carry 4 more rifles into the next round.
Yeah, you just wish he had another player with him, or at least better weapons, because that recon dart actually pinged all 4 players. So far, Nasi getting good value off recons on the C site holds, but they just need the weapons and maybe some sort of way to work out a better defense here on their C site, just because of the fact that their Qbert Academy are entering the C site quite easily, and Moobs is having a hard time just really trying to anchor that spot up. Especially now when you're looking at it, he's using his trips on B and A so that both Infiltrator and Nasi can work together to try to pinch towards the C side with the overdrive.
Ooh, Infiltrator heating up, and the pings through the wall, the overdrive! Oh, just takes care of most of Qbert. But wait a minute. What is going on? Flair is cooking. He's lighting up too. That's been snuffed out. And with Winthrop just sizzling in this round, you thought that Qbert, this is just going to be a quick round. We're actually in a 2 versus 2. Oh, a Steel Garden. Okay, we're trying to chase whoever this is. Nazi just trying to get away. And a Nightfall infested too. And just one darn classic could have ended all of Qbert's hopes in this round. Now just a 1v1, T-Dog versus Moobs, spike in hand. Now it's a mind game.
Moobs will have all the information now. Trip and camera. We'll know the re-hits going towards that B site.
Okay. Both players exchanging util to try and find each other. But this trip is going to deny T-Dog from getting into A at least. Now Moobs knows there's nothing left. Wrapping around through stairs. Prowler's shot. T-Dog knows he's close. Trying to play the clock. Play his life. The re-swing! Moobs wasn't ready! Clutch for T-Dog!
It looks so good for Winthrop University to kick things off on a C site. The Hunter's Fury, the stun that came through, the recon that got so much value, and again, that's why I'm a Sova lover. Nasi getting maximum value off of that ping. Look at that, 4 players getting pinged once again. Combining now the overdrive with the Hunter's Fury, but Redux steps up to the plate one more time, opens up that site with those kills, retaliating back towards that spawn, has a Steel Garden to work with, and gives a chance here with a double ult from both T-Dog and Redux to win that 2 versus 2.
Thought that overdrive was just gonna flawless. I mean, Infiltrator doesn't need an overdrive to sweep through Qbert. Now you got a showstopper too? Infiltrator, let him cook. Oh my god, Allie's involved too. Qbert just tried to brawl through rubble and just lost. That's all she wrote. Redux says goodbye, and Winthrop try to catch up.
That was nice by Infiltrator. All that solo play towards the A site. So he came back from the replay. It's instant chaos right away. And now finally we get into the bread and butter that what I was trying to talk about with the Sova. Recon Odin, play that towards the A site. And that can really melt down the type of aggressive A site hits you're going to try to take with this Neon. Because the wall that gets pulled up could be an instant tell of that Neon's moving towards that side, and you could just get melted by it. And Qbert Academy chooses correctly, at least to start towards that C site, because they have been getting good value in breaking the util and leveraging the C site takes and map control at the very beginning.
Qbert are trying to pick up the pace for C, knowing Winthrop have been sending 3 or maybe even 4 to the Rebel side, and Qbert want to hit the site while it's weak, while it's open.
Ow.
And Moves says open who? We're closed for the day. Picks up 1, Neural theft out, Winthrop are on the way, and it's Qbert that are floundering against the Winthrop that look really established. A 2 versus 2, 10's gone. Up to Redux. It's out of sight, out of mind. Now pinged by the drone. Nazi will spam through the wall with an Odin. And Redux takes a bit of damage. Now these has the smoke still up to isolate, but Flex is isolated who? He helps pinch through.
Yeah, especially the recon landing him towards that ground. Such nasty util coming out here from Nasi. And it looks so well to kick things off there, to start things off for Qbert towards that C site. Good picks, good openers, moves somehow fully stunned, gets a kill with the Phantom, and then pulls up the Hunter's, the Neural Theft to allow Winthrop University to get so much information within that round. So you think about how many kills they've gotten thanks to utility, both from Moobs and Nasi, was huge there for Winthrop University. And that forces a timeout, the first one here of this map. This time for Qbert Academy, because it seems as though this quick flank coming through on their actual site execs on the C site is starting to get figured, or starting to be a thorn on their side to deal with. Because if you're looking at it towards the end, Moops is just trying to delay as much as possible, and he's not even playing soft side. He's just trying to get his one and trying to delay enough so that the fast rotate from Infiltrator and a double duelist rotate coming out with Ali could be good enough here to just backstab Qbert Academy so far.
That Neural Theft was huge too. I find these last members, Qbert maybe chatting about how they're going to leverage this overdrive. And if they're expecting a lot of pushback from Winthrop and Rubble, that could be a place to kick things off. But if Winthrop decides to play more of a distance battle, Qbert may not have the best. They got Guardian, they got some Vandals, wouldn't be too bad. So Winthrop aren't going to full commit to that Rubble side. If anything, they could be walking down mid.
What did damage though?
To suppress them.
The early spray coming out now from the Odin from Nasi did some heavy damage onto Knights, which allows now the double push to come in from front B.
Yeah, and at the front of B is Ali. Also still has a nade. He wanted to try and escape, but he doesn't want to escape. He's bringing the party right to Qbert. Two duelists in your face with a paranoia in place for Flare. Just waiting for the call.
There.
Qbert on the approach. Do they know they're about to walk into a trap? Nismo has some util of his own, tries to flash and Winthrop fire back. They got nades. Qbert have an overdrive. And it's a bloodbath, and Qbert aren't making any headway. Ali's just too clean. A 3K. The duelists from Winthrop reign supreme.
And a flawless round for Winthrop on top of that. The counter utils from both teams were actually quite nice, and I don't think Qbert Academy was expecting a parallel to come through from the B site or all the way towards that front. Nismo's flash, it was supposed to be a play where or Infiltrator or Ali gets spotted, and then they throw the paranoia and start rushing through, but instead it was engaged with a flash from Nismo right here. And now with that coming through, it just allowed for the players to just do a quick 180, bait and switch, and look at the picks coming out right after there from Winthrop University. Just so clean. C's nade also wasn't good enough there for Qbert Academy to push out the B-side defense.
Hey. Winthrop again, Rubble control, but quick to ditch the scene of the crime. Oh, I like that Redux is gonna try something new and actually push through Rubble solo. We'll have this 1v1 against Ali. He's gone. Now Qbert could try to chase us down for the trade. Ali's very injured, 20 HP, but there's support from Nasi still with an Odin. Loud and proud, and even a drone. Such good information, a good position for Winthrop too. Qbert are just gonna walk right into the line of sight of Nasi. There's no way. Ten's a victim too.
You got two guys swinging with a stinger, trying to go, blah, but then Nasi has the big blah gun. It just mows them down. That was just too easy of a round there for Nasi, the IGL, and now with the University, despite the timeout that came through by Qbert to try to work things out and try to get rounds back on their side, it's been fully shut down by some great defensive holds by Winthrop University. This a little bit easy because you have the range distance advantage from Nasi's Odin versus these Stingers, but that previous round once again on that triple hold from those players was so nice. And back into this round, already into the action. Look how Qbert Academy is already moving here into aggressive B control, trying to push some players away. But now it feels as though you're not going to try to fully commit into a C site. You're just trying to force these rotates to happen, and you have now finally players staying back towards that spawn and trying to watch these pushes.
When you have open vision like this, just hoping for the defense to peek, kill the trip to see if it's not going to get the attention. It just reestablishes the smoke, but that's one less thing to worry about. Draw out as much Winthrop util as you can, because that's the game plan. Qbert still have the spike behind, and Winthrop aren't taking advantage of any open space. If anything, it's Infiltrator about to head first into Qbert, but there's a Nightfall breach util. There's only a defending Hunter's Fury that keeps Infiltrator safe from the swarm of bees that is Qbert.
Look at the HP after the Hunter's Fury. They're so low.
Another Odin travesty, but this time Qbert have a response, but there's only one person left
30 seconds
to take the test, and it's Knights in a 1 versus 3. At least he's got the spike. There's still a lot for him to clear by himself.
Exactly, and with the camera and Trip still up towards the C site, I mean, this should be an easy rotate after a plant for Qbert Academy. Unless they fumble the bag and are not coordinated on the retake, this should be an easy round now for Winthrop to take the lead 7-4.
Nice. We get a surprise. He was expecting a walk down stairs, and Infiltrator is low. Depends how Ali and Infiltrator work together. Ali down, Infiltrator is going to swing solo. And that could have been deadly if Knights had stood there. Now moves and Infiltrator have synced back up, and the defuse is being held past the halfway point. And Knights! Oh my god, clutched. A fumble for Winthrop and Qbert benefit.
Feels like I'm speaking these Casa curses into existence.
Yeah, you did.
Everything was perfect. The Hunter's Fury from Nasi kills a player, pings 2 down to 45 HP. They still have 3 players on the B site. They know the plan is towards A. Yet, yes, I understand what was happening there. You're trying to jiggle for information. The other one's trying to watch back to see if Knight somehow TP'd back towards Baby Door after the plant. But then that 2 versus 1, when Moves was moving forward. Get it at half, double swing, try to fight him. It's easy for you to get wall banged.
I heard there's a party. It's just on the other side of the map. Ali's on the flank. Qbert don't care. They're heading to the left.
Party's done.
On the party. Okay, Steel Garden is gonna get both of Infiltrator, but I got finger guns. Steel Garden won't affect these in Qbert Academy. On the other side of that smoke, actually, Knights teleported there or something. This is so staggered from Qbert. Messy rounds back to back from both teams. That ends the way of Winthrop all along, and they get to steal the off too.
Dude, that's just kind of sick. Winthrop University also noticing what are the strong points coming out from the Steel Garden, though. Yes, the Steel Garden comes out, but if you're playing a Jet, and you can play Jet Knives. If you're playing Infiltrator with a Neon, you can pull out the Overdrive. And he gets the perfect stun that doesn't allow players to move through the one-way cage that's popped up, isolates Nismo, and then it doesn't give a chance here for Qbert Academy to move into. Look at that. There's a cage, a smoke. What can they do here for Qbert Academy? After they're desperate, you're teeping across, you're still isolating 1v1s against a guy that has an overdrive, just running across the map on C. And he's now 15-8, and also allowing Winthrop University to get another lead going into this half. This time a 7-5. A lot cleaner, at least this time for Qbert Academy, but maybe still not enough.
Winthrop are 3-0 on pistols. Taking everyone so far. And Winthrop got caught in a bit of a fault line. Just Nismo got blinded and he couldn't capitalize. Wall up. You just heard the reload, heard the boom bot. How he's skipping across. That was fun. Meanwhile, Winthrop got an advantage going at C and a plant too.
And a huge numbers advantage of 4 versus 2. They can play within the site. They already have one person watching the flank.
A10 slow check against Infiltrator, and just staggering in solo isn't going to help. But Winthrop, so well coordinated and also so aggressive on their pistols that it's hard to kind of feel out what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's what you were mentioning when we got into this this match for the second map. Double Duelist is just going to be very aggressive, very quick. And we didn't expect for Winthrop University to be as fast on the flanks on the defense, but you're definitely seeing the value of the double duelists here on the attack, at least from the pistol round. They were very quick on just taking full control of front B site at the very beginning, taking control of mound from both duelists. And then you don't allow Qbert Academy to go for the open door flank back from the B site. And it continues this way for the second round.
Mid check. Winthrop adapting well. Door open. No immediate sight lines into C. So Winthrop have no information, but hey, they'll be able to see if Qbert are going to peek them. So Winthrop kind of just stand and react, look for pigs. But now the smoke's in place for Qbert. It's one site blocked off. And they're still just both the breach and the open on the right side of the map. So not a lot of blinds available for Qbert to go when it comes to stopping Winthrop from getting in. But I guess who cares when 10's hitting headshots, Infiltrator, I guess, trades with double kills. So the advantage gone for Qbert. Now 1v1, that moves wins, an important one. This puts the red carpet down for the A site.
Yeah, almost had a chance there. You're trying to count the bullets. On the side, I think it was Nismo trying to swing through and get in that pick. Or at least on Redux, and unfortunately it is going to be a win for Moobs with the Spectre against the Pistols.
30 seconds left.
But yeah, we just walked into the crosser for 10s, gets 2 easy kills, but just selfless plays to allow Infiltrator to move through and get 2 easy kills across because he just walked into the site.
T-Dog come through the staircase and having him push through tree is not going to be too easy. And clear around the site, the back site. This is just going to feel really impossible, but we've seen 1v3 clutches from Knights. See if T-Dog can pull this off. So tap the spike maybe, get their attention, get them into your crosshair, get them into your ballpark. T-Dog waits for the last second for them to exit, and Infiltrator gets the last laugh, and Winthrop are almost at double digits.
There's a chance there for Qbert Academy with the lore buy that they had to. They have full eco, rather, to even win that against with the University. So the fact that they got 3 weapons down, that's a small little W in that column there for Qbert Academy. Again, 2 easy shots that you just saw here on this replay. Players getting caught off guard. Iowa's Knights here fighting against Moobs, and you were just hoping for him to win that one there. If you wanted to stay in the game, at least for Qbert Academy, sooner than later. Now at least they have weapons to work with on the defense.
Oh, okay, Knights stabilizes. Infiltrator was just testing him. This is mostly a save hero Vandal from Nasi, and that'll be behind. But Sacrificial Lamb, Valley goes forward. Yeah, he's got thorns in his way. He's got a thorn in his side, and Qbert are all over him like butter on toast, and the spike's right in front of him, and that's just dessert. So Qbert be able to try and close the gap in the score.
Yeah, very nice. Winthrop University, I mean, they are bringing weapons into this one, but it is a bonus round that you have here for Winthrop. And that's why I feel like Qbert Academy allowed themselves to be a little bit more complacent at the beginning here. Getting fully stunned, but still getting killed while stunned is quite nice there for Knights. And Redux there for the save, and a flawless is perfect, at least into their gun round for Qbert Academy. And that said, though, you saw from the beginning of this round for Winthrop University, they're still doing the defaulting of working alley towards that front B site, working Infiltrator towards the C mound. The only changes that happen are the other bodies around that supports or Infiltrator or alley in front of those areas, just so they could manipulate these rotates a little bit better here for the side of Winthrop University. Now they finally have a gun round to play against if they want to continue with that same type of conditioning.
Last one was front B.
And Qbert was able to build themselves up a really nice win streak from winning the first rifle round of the first half, similarly to the second half first rifle round of Haven. So we're Qbert, they're not too far behind. Some good flashes, good thorns, Redux with the setup, but needs to back up Knights, who's just a one-man army. We don't need a man. Now he gets back to safety, and Winthrop have to figure out what's next. Oh god, moves. Is he gonna do it? 1v3? Okay, good 2 for 1's not bad. And now you just opened up B, you're going behind Rubble, so the options are limitless for Winthrop, although don't got a lot of manpower. Just a 2v2.
And that's the beauty of, again, that condition that they're doing and the default that they're currently playing. Ali was able to walk into the B site, get the backstep onto Tense, despite the good start that Cuba Academy had on that C site. So 2 players on both teams doing individual prowesses, starting off here on the side with Knights on the C mound, and then onto moves for Winthrop University. Now you have a 2v2, but the advantage is on the side of Winthrop because of the health and because of the time.
I just love what Ali was able to do this map. It's how much clearance he got through B, inching around through Rubble. Now work together. He trades and Flair finishes up the job, and Winthrop steps away from going to the semifinal.
And I was going to commend how Qbert Academy is also disrespecting this composition that Winthrop University is currently doing on that C mound, because you're not playing with any big flashes outside of the Omen. And you kind of want to keep the Omen flash into your sight hits if you can here on the side of the attack. So I love that Knights is leveraging just his aim to outduel his opponents. But man, Winthrop University also has a bunch of shooters that can just shoot as well. And of course, we're just going to have to keep waiting until we figure out if Qbert Academy can actually come back into this game. And at least now, Jen, you're seeing here that for Qbert, they kind of want to do a similar thing as Winthrop has been doing, which is pulling out this Odin on T-Dog as a fade.
Infiltrator Overdrive, you see what he did last time with it? He's just a speed eraser. So that's what I'm looking forward to as well. But when you got a Vice sitting on C at all times, it's not feeling too good because the Thorns aren't really at the front door. They're sort of at the back corner. So it's not fun. But I always have fun watching Infiltrator. We have an insane amount of talent when it comes to duelists and challengers. And it's amazing to see the clash between, well, Redux, who's fragging like a duelist, not on duelist. We'd love to see him on duelist. But, and what Infiltrator is able to do, it's been fun.
Yeah, 100%. And again, the path to pro here through challengers has been quite nice, and you've already seen it from Sato at the beginning, but we'll hold that thought. Here's some action. Players are dying. Advantage Qbert.
Fell over, folded like a lawn chair. What the hell just happened? And this is the type of Winthrop get close to the finish line and Qbert start the comeback. That's what you gotta worry about. You just gotta close it out.
And if anything, if I'm looking at the X's, is the first kill came from Knights again towards that back of that C mound and wins that duel in the long range. So now it just comes to me that they don't really have an answer for Winthrop University to move into the C site anymore. So they tried to push towards A, but they haven't really been aggressive on that side before. And they just got met by the sprays, the Odin, the util coming out on that side and just shut it down.
All right, Infiltrator Overdrive did not, I hyped it up too much, that's my bad. But got a whole Huntress Fury up Nasi's sleeve.
Yeah, and sorry, this is an eco round for Winthrop University. They shouldn't win this round, right? Oh, hold on, there's a showstopper first. Let's see what happens.
Oh, Thorns? Nope. Wow. Yeah, I guess, yeah. You know what? Yeah. Showstoppers are just canceled like that. So 3 versus 3 on a couple of players on Winthrop having classics. Wait a minute. Okay, neural theft from Moves. This is possible.
No.
Knights in the picture, but Moves is painting a different ending to this for Winthrop with a spike planted. And Knights at least with the paranoia, but okay. Moves down for the count. Knights position revealed. I see an Infiltrator watching both sides of their fortress.
I like this.
You just want
3
Knights
pistols
to
and
save
2.
here? Is
3
it possible?
pistols? I mean, no, he's gonna go for it. He has to. He's been feeling it so far on the defensive side. Yeah. I mean, a rifle, a stinger, and 3 pistols. And Winthrop University was able to close that one out. It made me just forget what the hell I was trying to talk about just before that. Winthrop University just leaving me speechless.
Got the ritual circle of whatever curses we're putting out. Yeah, you know, don't give them the thrifty. Fight for it.
Yeah.
And what are we looking at? It's like a fly on the wall. Like, what was that? Squirrel. showstopper doesn't get to go off. But man, was it intimidating. It was intimidating running into the side like that.
Yeah. And I think it was just Hubert giving him so much space, but speaking of space, they want to fight back here for Rumble Control again.
Denial of the weapons, the owl drone, just to see the corpses left behind of Winthrop. Will lose the war for Rubble once again. This Prowler won't get deep enough for Hubert. And now all rests on Knights with the Stinger, who's just not going to take the risk of getting his one. He'd rather be one with his team, and that means a plant for Winthrop.
It's a silver lining, but we've seen scenarios here where Knights was able to clutch up a 1 versus 3 before, so player disadvantage could still be doable here for Winthrop University in this 3 versus 5.
Nightfall versus Hunter's Fury as Nasi hopes to keep the forces of Hubert at bay. And now it's a brawl within the sights. And just Nasi left. So many injuries, hemorrhages. A hospital that Hubert won't be able to access yet. And a peak. Unfortunate stops the defuse, but thankfully Knights is still there to end the day for Hubert Academy. And
We're good.
I know, but 0.9, I get scared. I'm just building tension.
I would have been scared. I would have been scared if Nasi somehow still survived when he jumped off like a fadeaway shock dart and doesn't get spammed down by Knights. But yes, it was a scenario where a 3 versus 5 looked like it was going to be doable because of that scenario of these guys just shooting back on the side of Winthrop University. This is insane and intense how much Hubert has to fight for these dubs.
It's scary. Haven looks close only because Hubert came back 3-11. Infiltrator first blood against the king. And it's Winthrop will pick up the spike and feel inspired. But also look at what Ali is clearing. He likes to explore around B, finds the vice wall, which means, hey, this sentinel may not be around C, or at the very least the wall isn't. And they've been able to read that Knights has been the solo holder of C, and he plays more passive. Hubert wants to really flank. Now the vice wall has been triggered for B. What's next for Winthrop?
That was the thing. If it wasn't triggered yet and they were trying to execute in that Rolling Thunder could have done some good damage for Nismo. But now they have a chance to work the map again. One Prowler. What a fate coming through. Forces out the Rolling Thunder, but C-Site's open.
Yeah, the Rolling Thunder gets you a guarantee on Nasi, but Winthrop have evicted the rest of Hubert. They want to set themselves up for a match point, but I need this round to end before I really feel like there's going to be a winner.
I'm not going to say anything. This is all you.
Challengers fumble. Okay, T-Dog 1 versus 2. Just another day at the office, right? It's a familiar scenario for him. This time we'll be able to tap the spike. He has to walk past the smoke and have to have his crosshair melee up. You don't know if someone's at the left corner. Try and draw fire towards him as Flare can have the smokes back up, and T-Dog is gonna fight for this tooth and nail. And he's revealed, come at me, bro. Flare did just that. 12-8. 1 round away from the semifinal.
And that's the beauty of Winthrop University continuously playing these type of defaults that they're running the 2C mount, 2B, the passive A. So keeping plays inserted on that right side, getting hit by the Prowler, initiated, engaged the Rolling Thunder from Nismo. They went for the Hail Mary on that side, and they just threw that into the darkness. But it should have been maybe understood here when the wall was already propped on the top of the B site that there wasn't going to be that many players back towards that A cave in the beginning. And that, again, you see what happens towards the end. There's 3 players versus 1 on that C site. They play a perfect pulse plan. Even that 2 versus 1 util was beautiful coming out there from both. I think it was the Omen and the Cypher on the side of Winthrop University that didn't allow here T-Dot to get any value on that retake, on that attempt of a clutch. And now Winthrop University are at map and series point. I don't know, though, Lemon Kiwi, that I would necessarily call this an upset. I guess we should, since we all voted for Hubert, right? Except for Ash.
Ash is a knower for sure. And Winthrop have just been criminally underrated for so long. The desk and even you, I think, pointed out that they're a dark horse, and Winthrop have only grown. They finished third place, for God's sake, last stage, and we're still underrating them, you know? So Winthrop definitely are going to get a lot of respect, I think, with even more eyes on them today. And this is a different Hubert Academy. Can't deny the sort of changes that have been happening role-wise. I mean, even Redux, I thought, did a great job on the Duelist last time, and it's first blood for Winthrop, and a save for Hubert.
No.
Not ideal to be playing Stingers at range against Nasi and his Vandal, and what he's been able to be for this team, which is impactful. And he's not even done his tear. Tens has to pick up the pace and laser him down. Had to put down the gun to put down Nasi. It's another C hit. And the thorns from Hubert were not enough. Winthrop 4 versus 2. Semifinals ready. Knights on his way. What is he cooking? Oh, he can't go on the flank. That's denied by Infiltrator. Winthrop base is loaded. Base is covered. Looking for a home run. And it's Tens and Knights. These together. Put the crack in the smoke. Exploited. Flare ignites. And Winthrop to the semifinal.
Winthrop University with a clean series over Hubert Academy. Not expected by a lot of players or a lot of fans, including myself. But man, do they look like a real challengers team in this playoffs. Dominating victories on the first map of Haven, and now this time as well on Lotus.
Such a huge congratulations for Winthrop and winning both maps in kind of similar score lines, looking so well drilled, not looking intimidated, not playing scared. And that says a lot to the maturity that they've had and also the experience that they've been able to get, not only from all the collegiate tournaments, they're in the championship, like they're in the grand final. Oh, goodbye. No
Signal, no signal, signal, no signal. That's basically what's going to happen to me in this. And maybe it's because of my prediction. I'm just getting punished.
That's so true. We're gonna have to cancel you. And Winthrop, I mean, they are at the grand final of the CVAL Championship that's going down in a week against Maryville, and they want to be in the grand final of Challengers. That throne is open, and Winthrop are looking amazing. And I'm looking forward to what they have to say in their interview. So stay tuned, everyone. We'll see you after this.
all these people would really like to give up and they really had that drive.
The expectation should be to win first place.
Get them to ascend.
We kind of just threw at the end.
Yeah, MAD were winning 5 versus 3.
Look how quick this one. Oh! It's
Just a bunch of college kids that can 2-0 your favorite any day of the week. Winthrop University to do it again. They were a force to be reckoned with throughout the Stage 1 playoffs, and they're showing up massively here again. 2-0 in the series, be moving on into the next stage of this upper bracket. I mean, Ash, we are at the point where we do not underestimate this Winthrop University team. Even if the, predictions one way going one way, they showed up and they're going to show out. Well done to them.
Absolutely. I mean, to be able to take this in a 2-0 when we've seen this team go back and forth up against Qbert Academy is huge for them. It's gone to 3 maps every single time historically between these two from stage 1 into stage 2, and everyone on the side of Winthrop showed up today. They did not come to play whatsoever. I love that they continue forward with this unabashed confidence on the side of Winthrop. And for the side of Qbert, I think we got some of our answers of what we were expecting, maybe for those roles coming into it. Doesn't look the most comfortable, I don't think, for Redux right now on that Sentinel, but you also have to keep in mind, like, this is a big adjustment for him as well to be slotting onto that Cypher, onto that Vice. And I think Winthrop did a really great job at kind of just like picking apart the holes in Qbert's gameplay.
I agree. And I think a lot of, honestly, a lot of the reason why it really just didn't work out was, if you notice, like, second half, there was such a weird thing going on where you could actually see them winning, back and forth rounds. But what happened was there was such a big economical despair in both sides, where one round was given to Winthrop, one round was given to Sentinels. But since Sentinels had already not had such a great start on that first half, they were bound to lose from the start. There was absolutely no way, unless they somehow got themselves out of that consistent back and forth with Winthrop University, that they were going to win. And it was just so evident that they had to put themselves in a repetition that would have just led them to lose. So there had to happen some drastic change, whether it be, just completely throwing away a round to give them some sense of security. Because there was never really a full, complete buy for Qbert, which completely sucked, because now you're just working with a Spectre or a Guardian when everybody else has Vandals or 25 Shield and like a Stinger, right? So it just wasn't the best circumstances, I would say, for Qbert, which was completely unfortunate.
And looking over the individual player performances as well, I mean, going into this to see this composition for Winthrop University was a lot of fun, being able to see this double duelist, and it fared so well. I love the head-to-head we got between these Neons as well, but Infiltrator was somebody Ash in the first series was popping off, and he just couldn't be slowed down in the second either.
No, and this is something where, again, we know Infiltrator is one of the best duelists within the league. Winthrop is at this point, like, in stage 2, they should no longer be considered an underdog team. I think even going into this Qbert versus Winthrop matchup, the storyline has changed since stage 1, right? Winthrop have proved themselves as this team, and Infiltrator especially, with being how consistent he's able to perform. And when he has that hot start on that first map, that is when we can expect him to carry on forward with that performance. And he showed it here today. The Neon coming in looked so good, so comfortable for Infiltrator. This is something that we've known looks good for him before as well, but also just being such a leader in those first kills, in those first engagements for this squad across this entire series, and that opportunity to open up so many of these rounds for Winthrop to find this.
Someone who just never missed a beat throughout the entire series. Someone who, I mean, hasn't for Winthrop for a while. We've always talked very highly of Infiltrator, but to be able to have him in that sort of form heading into playoffs, when I know that this Winthrop University team has had a lot going on, especially with collegiate, is just absolutely fantastic. But we have none other than Infiltrator on the line now for our post-match interview. So let's head on over to that and get a couple of words from the GOAT of this series. Hello, how is it going? crazy start to the playoffs run. You're going up against Cubert. You've gone up against them a couple of times before. You're now going up against Sens. Like, how did you feel going into this match in comparison to how you feel now after this 2-0?
Well, I kind of felt like we were gonna win this series. I just had a lot of confidence going into the game, and so did the team. Obviously, we showed out. So, I just feel like my prediction was right.
I mean, of course, you always got to believe in yourselves, but something we've always praised Winthrop University for is you guys just have this unparalleled confidence, like from the get go, even when you guys were more so the underdogs looking back at stage one. And I want to know, is that just from all these reps together? Is that just something, this team mentality? Like, how has this just never wavered with this squad?
I'm not really sure, honestly. We don't really we don't practice at all. So I think it's just we're just together all the time. So we just work well with each other, and yeah.
Crazy. Winthrop University, you are a crazy group, but it makes it a lot of fun to watch.
Thank you.
Talking back to the series, I want to talk a little bit about this Lotus because, of course, now that Theo's gone, we get to see the swap ups. We get to see the double duelist coming out. So I want to know thoughts about that too, especially two that looked very comfortable for the team.
Yeah. Honestly, we didn't really talk about any of our comps today. We just got into the match lobby and wanted to try double duelist since Theo's nerfed to the ground, and it worked out.
Is there ever going to be a point where, like, if you're in grand finals or anything else, where it's like, okay, we're gonna game plan to strat this out, or is this just the secret sauce and you can't disrupt that?
We probably just chill. We can't disrupt it.
Amazing. I want to know how you feel. I know there's a lot of confidence here, but next up, you're going up against Envy, of course, undefeated throughout stage 2, everything else. How are you feeling going up against this team?
I feel good, but they are an insane team. So, and this is the first time we're ever going to play them. It's been 2 splits, and this will be the first Winthrop versus Envy. So it'll be fun, but it'll be hard. I think it'll be hard.
It'll be a really exciting matchup. I absolutely cannot wait. And last but not least, I kind of just want to touch a little bit on your own performance, not just through today's series, but through the rest of Challengers, and get your thoughts on it because you've been a really impressive duelist to be following so far.
I've just been playing with a lot of confidence. It comes from just playing the game and having my team hype me up and my team hype me up and everything. So it's basically just confidence.
It works.
Yo, chatter. Yeah.